Welcome to 10’sOn10 Show premieres Tell You What with co-hosts Danny Collins and at the Chronicles of Money, aka Christopher Joseph Attardi. Tonight's special guest is Jonny Ebenal and Rikki Ebenal, my two favorite people in the world outside of my brother and sister, mother and father, and, you know, people I spend my everyday life with. But let's get it going! All right, just checking it out. So, going live again. Nice. What up, Ravis? How are you, boy? Got Jonny coming on in about a minute. Fisher, what's good, dog? Sweet. How are you guys? Hope you had a great day. Yo, today was gnarly, by the way. Fucking went to a Black Lives Matter rally. That was nuts. If you get a chance to do it, like, check that shit out. Really cool to be a part of something. That's once in a lifetime experience. But Jonny and Rikki should be hopping on in just a second. And dude, they've got some of the gnarliest stories you'll ever hear in your life. So, yo, what up, Aaron? How are you, homie? Long time no talk, long time no see. I gotta come out and visit you soon. But as soon as Jonny logs in, Derek's gonna cue the jams, because I got D-Rock out here with the fucking soundboard cooking it up, you know. And we'll get into it real quick with Jonny and Rikki, because on the real, they're pretty dope people. So just a little background about Jonny before he even hops on. Johnny's like a professional freestyle motocross rider. This guy does backflips and shit on like motorcycles. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's crazy. Over cement. Like, when I met him, he was doing it in a parking lot at Roosevelt Field Mall for a Journeys tour. And this guy, like, if he fell or anything went wrong, you know what I mean? Like, that's not dirt, that's cement. A metal ramp to a metal ramp to cement. So I'm hoping he hops on soon, and we'll see what's going on. Oh, Derek, you're in here too. What up, D-Rock? Yeah, boy. So, give it a couple seconds. Yo, you guys, real quick, is it better with this light on? If I sit back, wait, hold on. How you like that fucking bathing suit? But better with this light or without this light? What you think? With the light? Alright, cool. So let's throw that on. Schwammo. Gucci gang. Hold on a second. Yeah, there he is. He hopped on. Oh. Hey, D-Rock, cue the music, bro. What up, Jonny? What up, Rikki? I miss you guys, just so you know.
Hey.
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Hold on. Rewind. Make that shit louder, bro. The audience can hear that. That's fire.
Let's turn this up.
Yeah, let's crank this up for you guys. I had this made just for you because I love you.
What's up, Chris?
What up?
That's gonna be loud.
That's my brother, by the way. That's Jonny. Welcome to 10’sOn10 Show premieres Tell You What!
Like the Rock. What are you cooking?
Chronicles of Money, a.k.a. Christopher Joseph Attardi. Tonight's special guest is Jonny Ebenal. Rikki Ebenal. Pop your face, Rikki. Yeah. Outside of my brother, sister, mother, father, and, you know, people I spend my everyday life with. But let's get it going. Boom. And that's it. All right, cool. So I fucking love you guys. Thanks for hopping on, man. You like that? That was just for you guys. Rikki, how are you? I haven't seen you in ages. You look
good.
How do you fucking age like fine wine, homie? You get older and look better. I don't understand it. I need some water you're drinking. Jonny, you too, bro. You look younger than I fucking last time I seen you, man. So
I doubt it.
It's going.
You don't see my gut right now, I'll tell you what.
Yo, I'm sure you guys are good. It's all straight. How's everything been, though?
It's been a trip.
Good. I could imagine. So for everybody joining us now, everybody who doesn't know who I have as a special guest on, right now you're looking at Jonny Ratfink Ebenal. He is literally the dopest dude in the world. Google that. Jonny with no H.
Your mom joined.
Oh,
show them your tattoo on your head. And that's why they call you Ratfink, right? No, I'm just kidding.
No, there's different reasons, but all right.
Look at that. Bro, my boy is tatted head to toe. If you guys...
Sorry, too.
And then...
my mom just joined.
Would you say, Rikki?
My mom just joined.
Oh, my God. Hey, Mrs. Elliott, how are you? I remember that time you took me in Thanksgiving. You're the best. Yo, by the way, cheers, guys. Got some wine for you.
Oh, cheers.
Bada boom. So guys, real quick, for the audience who's joining and watching, let them know, like, I kind of gave them a little brief background story about you, Johnny, and then you guys signed in. I didn't get to tell them about you, Rikki. I'm like, so guys, tell them a little bit. You go back and forth about who you are, where you're from, like how old you are if you want, what you're all about. I mean, like, guys, when I met Rikki literally is a computer genius who had federal clearance working for some power plant by Pendleton. Like, I'm sitting there like, what the fuck? And you guys already know how I met Johnny. So, I mean, if you guys want to enlighten the audience like a little bit, just let them know what's going on. Like I said, who you are, where you're from, what you do, what you're all about.
You're more interesting than me.
I doubt that. Okay, so, well, my name's Jonathan Ebenal, Sue. I know you want like the Jonathan part, but my name's Jonny Ebenal. I'm 36 years old, and I've been riding freestyle motocross for over 15 years professionally.
Right, 15 years professional is the title, right?
Yeah, longer than next riding bikes. And I'm very retired right now.
You're such a liar and fraud. You're such a liar. Yo, they literally just moved from the West Coast to Texas, and in his backyard, he had an entire freestyle motocross compound that they built themselves by hand. It was insane. You're retired right now?
Yeah, well, it depends on the job, yeah. If I get the phone call, yeah, I'll throw my leg.
The royalties keep rolling in, right? The royalties keep rolling. That's good. Rikki, get in a little bit. Get in on the picture. We think you're prettier than Johnny is.
Make this, I don't know. We're on a phone.
Can you put it sideways?
Can I put it sideways? Does it work like that?
We'll see. I think if you hold it sideways, yeah, nah, sideways ain't good.
No, it doesn't work? No.
Don't worry about it. You're fine.
That's all right. I'll just keep getting when it's my turn.
Watch, do this.
There you go. So, Johnny, tell the audience, for everybody who's watching right now, hey, is that Mrs. Elliott who just out there or Mr.?
Mrs.
No, Mrs. Elliott too.
Johnny, tell the audience how we met. I mean, you don't have to leave like the crazy details in, unless you want to. I mean, like I said, this show is all about being live, raw, and uncut. So, I mean, that's for you to decide what you want to release. I don't care. Everybody knows everything about me, so let it rock. How'd we meet? If you
all right. So, being on tour, we were in New York, and after the show, we met a young kid named Chris and a bunch of his friends, and they said, hey, if you guys want to come hang out. And the word wasn't hang out, the word was more party. So we went, hung out, and partied, and had a good time. It was classic, and it was good times.
Oh my God!
You didn't see you want to see it again? We had a good time.
That's awesome. Where did you get those?
Yo, I don't know. It popped up on an Instagram ad one day, and I was like, done.
Oh my gosh.
So continue.
Anyway, so we met there, and then I get a random email on Facebook from Chris saying, hey, man, I want to move out to California. Would you take me in? And, you know, actually, Rikki saw the message, and she goes, yeah, we'll take him in for sure. And the rest was history, you know? And came out to California.
Dude, it was crazy because, like, when we first met, our friends, like, were like, holy shit, what the fuck? Like, how did we just swindle that? First, we tried with the skateboarder guys at Journeys, and they were like, nah, man, go hit up the Metal Militia guys. So
yeah, we
like, right. And you were like, hey, man,
we stayed up.
It was the Rockstar tour bus, bro. That shit was fire.
Yeah.
So we get there. I don't know if I'm allowed to say names, but I don't care, whatever. If they're tuning in, cool. Hopefully Derry's here. Derry, you were dope. Shane Trittler, you were fucking dope. Everybody else like you guys were all awesome, like, for real.
Stars and Denny.
Bro, you guys literally were celebrities at the time, and we would have, like, in Garden City, there was high school parties every day of the week. Every day was a Friday, and we would show up to high school parties on a Rockstar tour bus with freestyle motocross riders and just party with you guys, and then you guys would take us to UFC fights at some bar. Like, that was crazy. I was like, what the fuck? What did we get ourselves into?
Hey, but you know what? We needed the locals to go figure out what we're going to do, you know?
That was it, man. Yo, you guys stayed, I think. You didn't even go to your next stop on the tour, right? Like, you stayed for like a week.
Yeah, we did, but we stayed longer. So we haven't stayed that long, but we stayed longer.
I remember when me and my friend Tom Hoey, we drove back up. We were in his yellow Mustang, and he was like, bro, there's no way this guy's going to be waiting for us like he said. Like, there's no fucking way. And bro, we pulled up, and sure as shit, you were just chilling outside the fucking tour bus. Like, yo, what
Well,
up,
we were
dude?
waiting.
I'm not gonna lie, you made me feel like a rock star, dude. Rikki, what about you? Tell the audience a little bit about you and how much of a guru you are, because you guys literally set me up with my life in California. Like, the two of you are the reason why I lasted 7 years in California.
Hold on, this kid's screaming in the background.
It's all good. That's mom and dad life, yo.
Can you say that again?
Oh,
Sorry.
Tell them a little bit about you, because you're literally a computer guru. You're the person who literally enabled me to live in California for 7 years. Like, you and Jonny gave me a life, helped me get a brand new car, like got me multiple jobs with incredible people, and pretty much opened every door in my life because of you. So, like, solely you. If Jonny didn't have you, I wouldn't have you, and neither of us would have what we have now today. So, like, you're the dopest individual I know.
I'm not that interesting. I work on computers.
She's such a liar.
But yeah, we moved out to Austin. I got a tech job out here. Huh?
You moved out to Austin from where?
From Oceanside.
And
Or from,
where were
well,
you?
we were living in Riverside County.
We moved from Oceanside, right?
Yeah. So.
And then Jonny was originally from Castaic, I believe, right?
From Castaic, yeah, LA County.
Yeah, Jonny, I remember, I don't know if this is cool to talk about or not from a distance, but you took me to one of your close friends' funerals, probably the first week or two I was there. We drove like 4.5 hours up there.
Yeah.
And Castaic and your friends was literally like the most prettiest place I've ever been. Like that church at the top of the hill had a 360-degree glass view of the lake. It was out of this world beautiful. But
that's where I grew up.
so you grew up in Castaic, and then you moved down to Oceanside to be with Rikki, or were you somewhere else before that? Like after you got touring? And now you guys are in Austin, Texas, which is now the up and coming city of like fucking music, everything. How beautiful is it there?
Yeah, it is.
Silicon Valley, I guess. You know.
So, the tech industry is blowing up out here, but all that came to a pause with the COVID situation, obviously.
And the riots.
Isn't it crazy, dude? How are the riots in Austin? I mean, everybody's got guns out there, so I don't think it's gonna be too bad. You guys defend yourselves. What's it like?
It's not bad at all. We have a lot of peaceful protesters that are actually being accosted by police out here. So,
isn't it? Dude, it's crazy. I literally went when I talked to Jonny earlier, Rikki. I went earlier today into the city to go visit a couple friends and say what up, because I haven't seen him in a while. And one of them was like, "Hey, can you drop me off like up over by like I can't remember the street name." I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" She was like, "I'm going to actually like a march. Do you want to come?" And I'm like, "Shit, it's fucking rush hour. I might as well. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna sit in 3 hours of traffic. Let's see what this is all about." I looked at her. I was like, "Yo, Sarah, this isn't gonna be like a riot type thing, right?" She's like, No. She was like, "You know me. Like, I'm the most peaceful person in the world. LGBTQ. Like, I love love." And I'm like, "All right, cool." So we threw our face masks on. We go into the city for this march. And Rikki, when I tell you there was thousands and thousands and thousands of people that we were in the front lines. It was her friend Mac, her, and I in the front lines. It was crazy, like watching these guys with the megaphones navigate everything. But the craziest thing to me was like the stories, one, I was hearing, and two, I had seen people getting arrested. And dude, the way that the New York City police were lined up on the side of the streets, one, it was like they were escorting the protest, which was cool. They were keeping it controlled. But like they were ready to rumble. I'm not fucking lying. They were ready to go. It was like they wanted to. And people were getting arrested that were getting enough of a rise out of the crowd for leading. And they were being arrested for quote unquote social distancing. So the coolest thing that I saw today was groups of white women banding their arms together around black and men and women and Spanish men and women with megaphones. And as they were going through the streets, they would not let people touch them. It was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. So if you're going to arrest people for social distancing, they just banded together even closer. Like, that was peaceful protesting to me. It was really cool. I don't even want to know what this rioting shit's like. I'm petrified of it. I live in a town where nobody has guns, so it's a little scary.
It's pretty heavy in New York right now, right?
Yeah, I'm back home in New York after 2 months down in Florida taking care of Grandpa, bro. I almost want to go back to Florida. The weather was nicer, and I didn't have to worry about being set on fire. So how was the transition from California to Texas? Because that's a big difference. You guys were on the beach practically, and now you're inland in Austin. Is there any bodies of water? You get any like lakes? What do you guys got?
It's different. We haven't had a lot of time to really check out our surroundings because we've been basically on house,
Yeah,
since March.
You know what? It's not as bad as my place in Arizona, my beachfront property in Arizona. It's not as bad as that.
Yo, you're funny.
I used to live out here years ago.
Did you really?
Yeah, years ago. I lived in Cleveland, Texas.
Well, why didn't you tell that story then?
Yeah, I am.
Tell that story,
I lived in Houston, and I moved out here with Chuck Brothers. Or, I moved out here after Chuck moved here. He won X Games, and he had this foam pit, Go Fast, the energy drink company or whatever.
Okay.
Just shot him like $55,000, and they built this huge foam pit. And I was like, hey man, can I move in? He goes, yeah. Had this big old house and a cookhouse, guest house, a main house, and 2 lakes. And basically moved out there and lived there for, I want to say about 2 years. But what's so trippy about Texas is the weather is so harsh, it's so random. You can see a storm come in, and as soon as it gets there, it leaves. You know what I mean?
It's like, does it make the people bipolar too? Because in New York, the weather makes the people just as bipolar as it is. It's crazy.
You know what? When I met you in New York, I don't know, I wasn't there that long, Like, I'm sure it's the same thing.
Dude, today, for example, it was beautiful out. I went for a 3.5-mile run by 10:30 in the morning. And there was lightning and thunder, and then the sun came back out again 2 hours later. It was just like, it
was legit.
Is that your son?
Yeah, he's throwing a fit.
Go get him. Go get little mini me, bro. I haven't even met him yet. Max, come here. Come be on live TV. You're the man. Go get Addison too. I miss Addison. This is Johnny's young new son with Rikki. He's awesome. Hey Max, how are you?
Max, say hi.
What's up, dude? You look just like your father and mother. He's so handsome. Yeah, that kid's gonna be a heartthrob. Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't mean to make you shy, dude. How's it going? Are you having a good day? Tell Addison I say hello as well. For anybody who's watching, if you guys have any questions, just feel free to type any questions. Johnny and Rikki will answer them as they come in.
Yep.
Addison is their daughter, so when I moved over,
Addie, you want to say hi?
Yeah.
Hi. Hi. Oh, they can see you. Come
Addie, what up? Yo, there's the little showman. Yo, see this girl right here? She's going to be famous one day. Okay, so that girl on the right, that's Johnny and Rikki's daughter. Johnny adopted Rikki's daughter because he's awesome. After Rikki adopted Johnny to be her husband. They're the greatest family ever. Not going to lie. How have you been, Addison? You got a nice little brother now? You being a good old sister?
Yeah, he's annoying.
Nice, not bad. How's everything going with? Oh, let me ask you guys this: in Texas, what are they doing with the schools? Like everybody's still out of school completely? You guys are homeschooled? Crazy.
Yeah. Everything shut down.
Yeah, they're.
So let me ask you this, Johnny, just so we kind of, because you and I, we can talk for hours, especially me, you know that. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
How about this? Why don't we talk about the highest point in your life? Well, first off, let's talk about for each one of you, what was the lowest point in each of your lives? Like, you give me a story like where like absolute rock bottom, when you woke up one day and you were like, I can't live like this anymore. And something that you can then give our audience some kind of advice to benefit from your low point in your life. And then we're going to transition to the highest point in your life and what you learned from it.
All right, so the lowest point is when my mom passed away.
I'm sorry to hear that, by the way. You know, I love
you knew that. My mom, like everybody in the family is passed. And, after that, she passed away. We lost this house that we were living in. My grandparents owned for years. It was paid off, and we lost it to the bank because my mom.
Is this before you were a professional freestyle motocross rider or
during?
After? During. I'm so sorry.
During.
That'll really fuck with anybody, bro.
Yeah, and you know, I like everything I had, I sold to try to save that house, but you know, it just didn't work out.
Wait, literally
you know,
everything that you I remember you telling me that. Everything you had, you sold
everything
to
I
try
had.
to save your mom's house, and it didn't work.
It was close to like I want to say close to $20,000,
Hey, Jess.
and huh?
I was just saying hello to the girl who just said, "Hey, my bad, Johnny."
Oh, right.
So you were saying
And
it was close to what?
$20-something thousand, you know, assets that I had that I tried to give my mom, but I don't know where that money went, and I don't know how bad she was, or how in debt she was, and you know, until later.
Okay.
And you know, my brother, you know, he went missing, and basically from there, I was, you know, on the streets, and you know, I had no place to live, no dirt bike to make money. And you just
you really didn't even have a dirt bike to make money?
No, I sold it.
No.
I don't know what just happened. My face disappeared. Oh,
Oh,
there
there
you go. Sorry, buddy. That's the gnarliest part. I didn't even know you didn't even have your dirt bike. So you're a professional freestyle motocross rider at this point, doing tricks off of crazy ramps with no dirt bike, essentially. So
Well, at that time, it wasn't important. You know what I mean?
that
So,
doesn't matter. You're always important, bro. Especially to me. But either way, so now you're selling everything. You're trying to take off your mom's debt so you can keep this house that you grew up in, right?
yeah, so I'm going to say that one more time because Max is like pushing a vacuum cleaner on the table.
Oh, it's all good. Max, you're awesome, dude. You look just like your daddy. So I was saying, so basically what you're saying is, I hope I'm getting this right. So just for the audience, like you and I know you, but like basically is your mom passed. She had debt that you had no idea about, and the house was basically going to be foreclosed upon. So you sold everything you could have possibly to try and keep the house because that's where you grew up.
Right, and
you're a professional FMX rider, which is on dirt bikes, but you didn't even have a dirt bike at the time because you had to sell that to try and keep the house, essentially.
Yeah, that was the first thing we sold.
Okay.
On my part, and then it was my truck, and then it was my car, and then it was another bike. So it was 2 bikes and my trucks, or my truck and my car.
I remember you had the dopest vehicles too, man. Like literally the coolest vehicles in the world growing up. Tell the audience about your favorite car. What was your favorite car that you had?
Well, let's see. I had a 62 Lincoln Continental that was pretty amazing. It ran like crap because I didn't know how to work on it, but it looked great. And then my favorite truck was my GMC. It was candy apple, root beer brown, 20-inch white walls. It was all pinstripe green and orange, big old rat pink on the hood. It had 66 Cadillac taillights in the back.
Oh, you did have the rat pink logo on the hood, right?
Yeah, it was all pinstripe.
Do me a favor really quick, just for all the new people who are viewing that have signed on, asking what they missed, show them the tattoo of the rat face so they know what logo was on the hood of your car.
Right, well, there's one right here. I guess if you guys see it.
Okay.
Kind of.
So that's that. I don't know if you guys can really see that.
You see the mouth. And then I guess the best one, this right here.
Oh, that one's gnarly. Yeah, that one's pretty cool.
There's rat pink. And then there's another rat pink right here. And then there's one up here.
The whole dome piece. My God. Rikki, why don't you show them all your ink too? Because you're inked up out the wazoo and it's wild. I love the sleeves, dude.
I just, you know, nothing's but underwater.
My favorite tatted couple in the world, all underwater theme.
Yeah,
like, yo, Jason Momoa hasn't hit her up from you, Johnny, yet?
Wait, what happened?
What?
I was making an Aquaman joke. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Not bad, not bad. So that's the lowest point in your life, right? So now you're trying to basically save this house, and I'm assuming on the like where you are now, it didn't work out, correct?
With what?
With you trying to sell everything that you have and save that.
Oh no, it didn't work out. The money was gone. I don't know where it went, and you know, the cop showed up one day and locked the house, and we were kicked out.
And that was it. You had 9
was
days
it.
to move out, and you were done. And the house was gone. That was your childhood home?
Yeah, my grandparents. Yeah, my grandpa bought it back, and I don't even know. It was where I grew up. Yeah.
The story is that he got it from the military,
Yeah, so my grandpa was in the military for over 30 years.
Yeah, I remember. He was a pilot, right?
He was a fighter pilot, yeah. He flew the P-38 Lightning during World War II, and I guess after the war, he went and worked for the defense company or defense agency.
He was part of a group of people that came back and they started skunk works.
Hey,
Yes,
my brother D-Rock just wants you to know, I don't know if you guys can see the comments. He was like, damn, this is wild. So just, you guys are getting good feedback. I just want you to know that, like, to anybody who's missing out on anything, I'm going to post this episode in full on Sunday. But for now, just if you have any questions, feel free to type them in. Johnny and Rikki will take them.
Yeah, I'll answer whatever you guys have to ask or anything like that. I'll answer. But anyways, back to my grandfather.
And then he did the
defense, but he also worked on the rover to the Mars. I have all these clippings.
Wait, he worked on the Mars rover?
Yeah,
that's incredible.
Yeah, the first one, like, I have.
That's right up your alley.
I know, right? The best way to go right now.
You know, the super boring computer lady. Psych. Psych. That's the wrong answer. So continue. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Oh, you're good. So I guess, you know, my cousin, you know, everybody's passed, you know, my mom and my grandparents. But anyways, it was funny. My aunt and my cousin, they're telling me like, oh, you know how your grandparents found that property? I was like, oh, I don't know. You know, they're all passed and gone. Well, he was a spy for the U.S. And I was like, what? I was like, no, he wasn't. No, like, yeah, he was. You know, they put him over there in the middle of nowhere. We didn't have electricity. We lived on well water.
They were off the grid.
We were off the grid completely. Yeah, there was not, and I thought that was the normal. Like,
bro,
so
you never told me this.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah,
it's to me. This is amazing. Keep dropping this on me. What?
So we had at night kerosene lamps, and you know the games that you would play was like Chinese checkers, chess. You know that was what you did during the day.
That's why you're so smart. Like
no, absolutely not.
He was playing chess his whole life.
No, I was horrible at it. Checkmate.
Let's go, boy.
Checkmate. So, but you know, I heard that later on. But I have all these documents from the White House.
Yeah, we have a bunch of documents from the White House signed by, you know,
the president,
Congress.
That's
it's a whole. We have a whole.
Just to piggyback off that really quick, I'll let you get right back to the story. But a couple people have some questions. I'm going to tell you that in a second. But really quick, my grandfather was in World War II, right? Not like, he wasn't any like big thing. At least that's what he keeps telling me. He plays it down to like nothing. So I don't know what I believe or not.
You had a bike during World War II?
No, he's his grandfather.
Now, when all of his White House paperwork came in, he said to me, he was like, Chris, the only thing I wanted to see in all of that documentation, he goes, they gave me in my medical physical exam sodium pentothal, which is AKA known as truth serum. And he said every document that could have happened to him from start to finish in the military was documented and sent to him. He had it. And the only thing that was not in any of it was the fact that they had given him truth serum at some point in his medical exam. And he was freaking out about it. I'm sitting there, I'm like, that's so wild that they do that.
You know what, my stepdad was in Vietnam. And, you know, the story behind my stepdad, I guess he was a young kid that was messing up. And it was either A, you go to jail, or you go to prison, or you go to Vietnam. And my stepdad said, I'll go to Vietnam.
They gave him that ultimatum?
Yeah, that's what the judge said. And he goes, I'll go to Vietnam. And so he went to Vietnam. But he told me, he goes, you would line up, and there'd be a bunch of, you know, white coats.
You know, I don't know if you know which president it was underneath. Do you know which president was under for your grandfather?
No, we have to go.
My grandfather?
We have to pull out all
I'm only saying that because that's one of the comments
that
oh.
Yeah, we have to pull out all the paperwork. And
yeah, so during World War II, it was...
But the sign, we have to just verify.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I'll have to go find the paperwork.
I was like, this is a test of our American knowledge. We're,
I know.
But you know what, that letter came in after he passed away, too, for my stepdad. But my grandfather... It was a general from the it had the president's name and then also the general that sent the orders to re-enlist him or bring him back.
And that's how high up he was as a ranking, essentially, is what you're trying to explain. You're a fan.
I guess I really don't know. I have no one to ask, but I have the paperwork.
We have all this paperwork.
And this is your stepdad or your grandfather?
My grandfather was in World War II. My stepdad was in Vietnam. So they were both highly decorated.
That's incredible.
You know, one pilot, and then my stepdad was First Force Recon. You know, basically like the baddest of the bad. And
Good-looking guy too.
handsome guy.
Very handsome-looking
There
guy.
you go. I mean, you got the best looking guy right there to your side. I mean, you know, you're already.
You know I'm true blue.
Catch that shit, save it for later, motherfucker.
The earring thing.
Oh, so you know what? So during Vietnam, you know, it was pretty nasty.
Okay.
I know this gets past kind of what I was saying.
Oh well, if you were saying something, just go
But
ahead.
you know, when I was talking about the, you know, the guys in the white coats, my stepdad said he'd be walking down a line and there would be like a number of guys in white coats or whatever. That's what he called them. White coats was the nickname, and they would basically just shoot you up with something. You know, just stick it in your arm, push it in. And he said sometimes the needle would break off, and you just keep going and get the next one.
Talking about while they were in the military, like the doctors, the white coats.
Before they went over to Vietnam, because you know all the different stuff that you know was being sprayed and all the different things that was supposed to be like protect you. And my stepdad was telling me all these crazy ass stories, man. He goes, if you go in the water out there, he goes, you take a rope and you wrap it around your. It's gonna sound gnarly and gross, but he said wrap it around your crotch and up your butt so you don't get these parasites.
Like up your anus, like
you wrap it around your shoulder and like your crack, so it's like a G-string.
That's insane, and that's something you would probably learn in the military. Like that's crazy, or if you were in that country living there.
Back.
Dude, that's.
And also he was sprayed by Agent Orange.
Yeah. So real quick, I'm sorry to cut you off. Just to backtrack a little bit, one of the followers that I have, she's like really, really, really cool. Her name is Jess Morale. And she was saying, real quick, after you sold your bike, hold on, let me scroll back up to the comment. I got to find it. It was, all right. Da-na-na. Wait, how's it going? Da-na-na, da-na-na. ESPN's top 10. Hold on. So she asked, when did you get another bike after selling your bike to try and keep your mom's house, essentially?
No, so I sold my bike to try to keep my mom's house. And I sold my bike, I sold my Lincoln, I sold my truck, and I sold a bunch of other random stuff.
Okay.
You know, the money went straight to my mom. I don't know where it went. You know, I never asked. It went straight to my mom.
And then after she passed away, they lost.
Yeah, and there was no answer to that, you know. And I don't blame, you know, it went towards it. I didn't realize how far my mom was in debt.
Bro, put it this way: you were just being the best son you could possibly be, utilizing your
I
finances.
wish I could have been better.
For your family. Like
I could have been better, but I didn't know exactly how deep it was.
That's okay. So how long was it until you got another bike? And did you buy it?
When I met
Was it
Rikki.
gifted to you?
So the first time I got a new bike, or a dirt bike, was when I met Rikki. So I got a bike in 2014.
That was with, and when was the sale?
Oh, actually, you know what?
You had the loaner.
I had a loaner bike.
So,
It was a 450. Yeah,
that's
from
basically
Memphis.
what I think is the gnarliest part about this, because for anybody who's watching right now, like if you guys don't know Johnny's story, like Johnny literally went from having everything to having nothing, and still is able to continue a professional freestyle motocross career, and obviously meet one of the prettiest women on the West Coast and start a family. But it's crazy because if you guys don't understand how hard it is to be a professional, like literal professional
Especially now.
motocross rider with no bike, do you understand the stuff this man had to do?
I had borrowed gear. I had borrowed boots. I didn't have knee pads.
Dude, this guy was in Charlie's Angels, and he didn't even have his own motorcycle. That's what
In the
he's
video,
basically telling you.
and what's it called? Supercross The Movie with Channing Tatum, the stripper.
Oh, those were the two movies you did, Charlie's Angels and
Magic Mike.
Magic Mike. That's where the royalties are rolling in from, baby. Let's go.
Not anymore, but back then, you know, you didn't get a chance to like get the royalties because they would be like, okay, well, and when I was younger, they're like, well, how about this? I'll give you, you know, this certain amount, and they gave me a lot of money, but I never saw any kind of like more money coming in. Nowadays, if I do something, I want to see the money coming in over time.
Yeah, of course. You know what's crazy about that too? There's just a little bit of knowledge for some of the audience watching. If you're ever into acting or anything like that, I was watching a documentary on a lot of the people who were voices behind the characters in The Lion King, and if I'm correct, it was the gentleman who did the voice of Simba. I could be wrong, but basically they presented him. At the time, I think whatever time it came out, the early '90s, he was a young black man. And they hit him with some kind of contract for like 150 grand, or it was like maybe 150 grand up front and then $1 million total. And his effort, you know, like as a young black man in the early '90s, that's like a lot of money to like to one person. Black, white, Spanish, that's money. So he was about to sign the contract, and his mother was like, "Hell to the fuck no! If you think that you're going to sign that contract and they're going to get over on you, they're going to pay you $1 million like that. They understand how big this is going to be." She goes, "You go back and renegotiate for royalties, and you tell them you don't want anything up front at all." He said to this day, he's still getting $100,000 checks in the mail for royalties.
Oh, really?
Anytime a lunchbox is sold, anytime anything, you know. So if you ever get the chance to do royalties, that's the way to go for anyone.
Yeah, it's like Vanilla Ice.
Right? Isn't it crazy? So you did Charlie's Angels. You did the Channing Tatum Magic Mike movie, which is... No,
I didn't do that movie. I did the movie Supercross with Channing Tatum. I was making a bad joke.
Okay, cool, my bad. I thought
I was definitely not in Magic
Mike moves, bro.
I got hit up for it, but I said no.
Do the helicopter.
Yeah. Oh my god, dude. I felt the back of my head get hit by something when you did that.
Looking tan, Poppy. Thanks, Andrea. Yo, Johnny, stop getting turned on by my helicopter, bro.
God damn. I'm gonna nosebleed.
All right, so just to go a little bit back, because like we've got gnarly stories, and this conversation, I can tell you right now, live stops us at like just under an hour, like 40 minutes. So we're probably gonna have to like come back on and do the same thing, how you sign back on in a couple minutes. But from you learning from your lowest point in your life, like what did you learn from that? Like did you learn how to just keep pushing forward? Did you learn what was the self-awareness you had to come to?
The biggest thing I learned, and the best thing that I ever learned, was to pay attention. And that's the best thing I can say. To pay attention, because you won't see any kind of, you won't see it unless you pay attention, unless you try to work for it, and you won't see it. If you just go in the gutter and you say you give up, you're not going to see anything. But if you pay attention, you'll see it. Go ahead.
Okay, so to elaborate a little bit, just don't do something just to do something aimlessly. Make sure you're literally attentive to what you're doing.
Well, when you sit there and say, "Oh, I'm at the lowest part of my life," you're not dead.
Yeah.
That would be the lowest part. You're 6 feet under. That's the lowest part you could be. So you're not there yet. So what you got to do is you got to pay attention, and because there's always, even if you're at the lowest point in your life, there might be somebody out there that wants to help you.
Always.
And always, it doesn't matter. I heard a story from a good friend of mine, and he told me, he was on the streets,
tell them, after this, tell them how you and Rikki met. That's what blew my mind.
That was scary.
That's right along the same lines of this, real quick. But finish your story that you were telling
about. It was like a catfish story. But
yo, Neve, what up?
Well, I flaked on her like 2 times, dude. It was funny.
Well, tell me about your friend who was on the streets first, and then we'll get into.
So he was on the streets, and he was, I guess, from what he told me. And these aren't long stories because I only get to see him every so often. And he told me, he would sleep out in front of the hospital under a blanket. And he said this lady came out and just said, "Hey, I don't want to, I just want to hang out with you." Okay. And this lady just hung out with him. And, my buddy, I'm not going to say his name, but my buddy, a close friend of mine, and he told me that story, and I was like, wow, this lady didn't know him, but just saw him. And my buddy, he's a good person, just bad luck. You know what I mean?
Of course.
And he's stubborn, too. It's the reason why.
Aren't we all?
And so, this lady sat down with him, for days and days, every single day, sat with him. And, now he's better off now than he was. But
okay.
Anyways.
That's what I like to hear. Thank God he's still with us and he's doing well. Good.
I'm doing good now. The best thing that's ever happened to me was probably, Hey, Rick, what is it?
Turn
Oh,
the
that's right.
camera, turn the camera a little bit. Just get her in there. That's the best thing that's ever happened to Johnny right there. And he says that with like the utmost, like, I'm not going to say like from the core. He says that from his toes all the way to the little hair he's got on his head. Like, Rikki's incredible. Tell them how you met, because the way that you guys met when you told me, one, I thought it was incredible. And to see how far you guys have come since then from meeting in that fashion, absolutely blows my mind. And will give anyone watching hope for true love. Like, you guys are a fairy tale. It's amazing.
All right. So you know the internet logo. You know the E.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, you know eHarmony had the same logo.
It was not eHarmony.
It was eHarmony, and they changed it after we met because it was so beautiful and perfect.
Okay.
It was the diamonds.
It was Facebook.
You're such a
It was
Facebook.
No, we met on Facebook. So after, like,
so you can tell your side of the story, and then I'll tell where I was at that moment.
all right.
All right, let's hear it.
All right. So at this point, I'm bouncing from couch to couch and trying to find jobs, and all my stuff is missing, everything, and a friend of mine hits. I don't even remember how we got back together.
How old are you while this is going down, if you don't mind me asking?
How old is I?
Yeah, I assume this is still mid-pro freestyle motocross career in the midst of
20.
I think you were just 29. I just turned 30 because our birthdays are literally a day apart.
So my mom passed away in 2004.
Isn't that funny? That's amazing. When's your birthday?
And mine's November 24th. His is November 23rd.
You Scorpio-ass motherfuckers.
Hey, we're the same age for one day, and then she's a cougar again.
There you go, baby. Okay, so keep going.
So I was bouncing around, I was just staying at,
Like couch surfing, basically, at anybody's house. Okay.
What I was doing. And, I had friends that I took care of years ago that said they would take me in, and they wanted to, and I wasn't doing anything to anybody except for, trying to get back on my feet.
But you were being a little irresponsible.
I was a little irresponsible.
We don't have to go into detail, but
that's okay.
Anyway, a friend of mine, he's like, oh, you can stay with me. I was like, all right, cool. So now I have access to the internet. I was like, I'll check my Facebook. Shit, I haven't checked I think I had to reset my password. I think the last thing I signed in on was MySpace. I didn't, I didn't do these internet things. And one night I was, I get a message from somebody, and it's Rikki, and I was straight up, she's like, oh yeah, you seem awesome. You look really handsome.
That's not what I said.
That's exactly what she said. You're probably the most amazing person in the world, and all this blah blah. And I was like, I'll give her a chance.
You go ahead and tell your story.
Yo, I can't wait to hear the other side of this story, and then I'm going to tell you guys my version of this story.
Because you were there, like, basically as this whole thing, right? Like, just months afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Months after you guys met, and then literally I was there for the wedding. I was hyped to be able to get a picture.
Hey, you were a witness at the courthouse. Then I had to probation. In my trucking story.
So continue. So she hits you up on Facebook out of nowhere, and you were real with her. You were like, "Hey, look,
I was straight up.
I fucking couch surfing. I'm broke." Like,
no,
Rikki,
I told
did you know who he was as like, I guess, semi-celebrity person? Did you know that about him when you hit him up, or no?
No, I didn't.
She Googled my last name, and that popped up.
No, I didn't. Okay, okay, this is how.
I thought you said you were letting me talk, or you were going to talk when I was done.
All right, so Johnny,
in the same city, right?
Yeah.
So I used to live in Santa Clarita Valley when I was 6th grade through 9th grade.
What does that have to do with me?
We have mutual friends.
So you did Oceanside, then Santa Clarita, then back to Oceanside before going to Austin, right?
I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
So you did Oceanside where you grew up, then you went to Santa Clarita, then you moved back to Oceanside, then out east inland a little bit essentially, and then you moved to Austin, correct?
So I was born in Van Nuys, Los Angeles.
Really? That's where my uncle lived, dude. I didn't know that. You were in Van Nuys?
Yeah.
I should have known.
I grew up in LA County until I want to say 94.
Okay.
93 or 94. And then we moved to Santa Clarita, which is up a little bit north in California. Then I moved to Oceanside in 96. So we had mutual friends. And at some point, I added you on Facebook. At some point.
You got that.
Okay, fine. You know what? Hold on. She didn't Google Ebenal. You know what she did?
No, we didn't.
Poke him?
I know. Oh, let me clear this up.
Okay.
All right. So she did not Google Ebenal. All right.
Okay.
So I'll make that. But you know what she did Google?
I was on
Hold
my
on.
iPad.
I'll tell the truth. No, I'm going to tell the truth. She Googled badass and handsome.
And she got you.
And of course, that's what happened. Isn't that true? True.
Tell me that's true.
Or we're
Please
getting
tell me
handsome and
that's
down.
true.
I hit him up because he was online. That's what happened. We were on my couch, and I was a single parent, and it was a Friday night or a Saturday night. And I'm like, oh, who's this guy? He's cute.
He's cute.
I'm his friend.
That's
Let
the
me
most handsome motherfucker I've ever seen right there.
Yeah.
Ah, deadly.
So
Deadly.
keep going. So he's
Yeah.
cute and,
So you go ahead and tell the rest.
All right, so I get hit up by her, and you know she comes to the point and says, you know, do you want to hang out? And I was like, straight up, dude, I'm basically homeless. I live on couch to couch. I'm an ex, you know, D addict, drug addict,
you
not
can say
dick.
drug addict. You can, don't worry, we're not censored. Say whatever the fuck you want, bro. Fuck.
Yeah, I know it's 2020, but that was horrible.
Yeah, I feel you. I know you're trying to censor it. I know.
I know, don't show me your pants again.
But for the audience, that's just something that this man has overcome. Like, he didn't even tell you that as his rock bottom story. He had something worse than that. So to understand the obstacles Jonny has overcome in his life and to see how happy he is right now, like, you guys don't know him personally, but, like, I'm trying to give you some kind of exposure into his life, like, with Rikki. Like, these two people right here can offer you so much insight. Just hit them up if you have any questions outside of this, but continue.
The most amazing thing, like I was saying, in my life that's ever happened to me was my wife. And you know what?
Because she pulled you out of a super dark place, from what I understand, correct?
All these people that I helped over the years, my professional career, my entire life, and I gave them my house, I gave them my room, I gave them places to stay, I gave them money, everything I did for these people. As soon as I was at my lowest,
they all were gone.
They wanted to point the finger, and I was just like,
that's life. Isn't it sad? That's
it
life.
Is.
I've learned that.
You know, it is, and it is what it is. And I straight up told, and I was like, you know, at this point, you know, I was just straight up with Rikki. I said, you know what? I straight up told her, you know, I'm going through this, I've been through that, and she goes, well, if you want to hang out one night and you know, go out to a bar and have a drink, you know, I'll come pick you up. And I was like, where do you live? She goes, OC. It was just a
so I was
Orange County or Oceanside?
I think it was Ocean.
I was in Orange County on a job. I was on a business trip.
I didn't know the hell that meant.
And I was close to LA, so I didn't have to drive all the way up to LA to get him. I was in Orange County. So I was like, well, I'll just take him to, you know, pick him up. But he ended up.
No, I flaked, and it was funny.
On me.
Wait, how far, before this fool the first time flaked on you, how far did you have to drive to pick him up that you agreed to go?
You know, from Orange County, it wasn't that bad.
You actually made the drive.
I want to say it was an hour. It was about an hour. And I called him and I said, I told him later that night, I'm like, look, I understand, you know, what your situation. I told you that. I said, I understand what your hesitation is, but I'm like, don't make me do that again, because I'm not driving all the way the fuck up to the 5 and the 14 split again and turn it around. And I did it again, but I ended up picking you up that night.
I know. But the funniest thing was, because I was sleeping on my buddy's couch, and he lived in like it was like a condo area, you know, like, so you.
And that was not me.
Hey, hold on,
not me.
I ignored her phone calls, and I was like, I'm like, there's no reason, you know. I told this girl that I don't know everything about me, everything that's going on. Why would she want to hang out with me? And I was just, because I didn't care, you know. If you want to know about me, I'll tell you about me, you know. And I told her,
you and I are open books, bro. That's the best way to live life.
The best way, you know, get it out, because you don't want to see the dirt later. Anyways,
that's it.
I'm sitting there and I'm trying to lay down, and I'm getting phone calls. I'm laying down on the couch trying to go to sleep, and I hear this honk, honk, honk.
The vibration of the phone.
Dude.
That was not me.
And I guarantee it was probably her.
Dude, I went up to the split and I'm like, this fucker's not answering my call, so I'm going to turn around and drive back. And that's what I did. That was not me.
I know. Anyways, and I thought it was pretty funny. I told my buddy, I was like, man, dude, definitely not going to hang out with her again or talk to her again. And anyways, and I have to apologize. I was like, yeah, you know what? I fell asleep. And I was like, I felt like an ass. But, you know, I got the missed calls and I was like,
but then,
I didn't have a phone.
You didn't have a phone.
Yeah, I know how it is. There's certain days where I wake up, like, you guys see me, I'm like super positive. There's days where I wake up and my friends call me and I'm just like, yo, stop fucking calling me, bro. I'm not saying that's how you were, but I'm like, dude, I don't want to be bothered by anybody some days.
Well, I just didn't think, you know, like I was straight up, and I was just like,
he had been through so much at that point.
There were so many people that tried to take advantage of me. They wanted stuff from me. They thought I had all this money still. They were asking me for stuff, and I was just like, I don't have it. I really don't have it. And you know, I was just like, well, see you later. You know, that's kind of a funny story. Yeah. I'll forget about you later. And then, you know, like
I contacted him again. Yeah. I said, look, I'm like,
God,
I'm like,
she's back.
I said, don't make me drive up to all the way up there and have to turn around and come back. I said, look, if you want to hang out, I will pull you out, because I had just gone through a really shitty situation myself. And I was at this point, and I got myself out of it. Don't ask me how, by the grace of God, I was able to get out of it.
Fucking proud of you. Proud of you.
Thank you.
I did it, and I said, look, I understand.
You're talking about a relationship, right? You could tell the female listeners right now how fucking hard it is to do that, to get out of a toxic relationship and to make some kind of decision like that.
Not only that, but when
you had a child too, correct?
I'm sorry?
Because you had a child with that person too, correct, or no?
Well, no, I will explain that. But I was in a bad relationship. Okay, I was married to not a very nice person, and then when I came out of it,
You're such a generous person for being that nice and kind with your words about that person, just so you know.
Well, I'm not going to, you know.
I know.
It's all right. It seems like it's another lifetime ago, but I ended up making poor decisions after that.
Okay.
And making, you know, obviously I had gone through a lot of stuff, and I had found myself probably at the lowest point in my life. And when I got pregnant with my daughter, which was somebody that I had met in transition, right? So
when she went lesbian.
She saved my life, basically. She saved me.
Addison.
And I raised her, Addison, my daughter. I raised her as a single parent. Dad left when I was 2 months pregnant. You know, I had a good job. Didn't need to go after him. Like, you do you, I'll do me. I'll raise this baby. I have a good family support system.
You know what's funny? My mom did the same thing, and I found that out 20 years later. You were the strongest woman I know, so keep going.
I'm a strong woman. But I ended up with Jonny, you know, I kind of gave him, I'm like, I understand where you're at. I hear you. You know, just have a little respect for me. You know, I'll come and take you out of the place that you're at, and I will introduce you to a new place.
And you meant it. And you fucking meant it, didn't you?
I meant it. I do what I say.
And I just want the audience watching. You see what Rikki just said? I do what I say. Like, yo, if you're gonna speak about it, be about it. Like, if you're gonna talk the talk, walk the fucking walk. Like, don't be somebody who just preaches shit and then never fucking follows through on it, because, like, I don't respect you and nobody else should.
In a parking lot with a black trash bag.
He had a black trash bag with his belongings.
And I threw it in the back of her car.
When she picked you up. That was the first time you guys met in person. You had a black trash bag of your belongings in a parking lot.
Yeah. And she picked me up and took me to Oceanside.
I took him to Oceanside. He didn't go back.
No, you took him to fucking Oceanside, and then we went to Vista. That's where we went.
That's right. Then we went to
Vista. But, you know, again, for the audience watching, just so you guys know, no matter how low of a point you are at in your life, all it takes is one person, 1 second, any
time. Pay attention.
Just pay. That's it. All you need to do, like they say, the hardest part in life is showing up. And Jonny just proved that to you by finally fucking showing up. Because how long have you guys been together now since you met, and how long have you been married?
Like 2 years.
Well, we got married.
2 years.
We met in the end of 2012. We got married in 2013.
So
7
almost
years.
Johnny
7
saying
years.
2 years. You're such an asshole.
I get it. 7 years. We've been married for 7 years.
Yeah, married.
So again, for
I
anyone
was still in my
watching,
20s when I met her.
it's
I was-
wild. Like, dude, the
Yeah,
wedding
really.
was so cool too. To be able to take the pictures and witness that ceremony, like, yo, that was a very intimate wedding. That was incredible, and like, to be honest, it was crazy because like, even with all the crazy shit that all of us, like, yo, remember locking ourselves out of the house and I had to climb up and like,
Oh, yeah, I tried to punch the window. I said,
you
my
cheese
God.
grated your knuckle, bro. This idiot goes to punch the window and he cheese grates his knuckle on the fucking screen and doesn't
The
break the
screen was
window.
on the screen. I
There
got
was
teeth
flesh.
in it.
There was flesh stuck to the screen.
It
Like,
was. It was
blood
good.
and
I'm
flesh.
glad it didn't break because next door was a cop.
Meanwhile, I
You
already
didn't
had
make it the first
ninja
one.
my way up the gutter, like onto the second floor. And
Yeah,
fucking-
Spider-Man, you just went like this.
I couldn't believe that you did that. I was in awe. I was like, oh my God, you just climbed up the side of the
Yeah,
condo.
it was like the rain gutter, and you went to each
Yeah.
side of the house.
Parkour.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was. It was urban.
But I just want my audience to know, like, yo, you guys, honestly, your life could change like that. All you have to do is what Johnny said. Just pay attention. Like, if you're at the lowest point in your life, take a step back, look in the mirror, and pay attention to your
And
surroundings.
it's
Like,
not just the one person, you know what I mean? It's not just the one person. It's pay attention to everything around you because
everything.
what I'm at right now, it involves you too, Chris. But you know, my wife's parents, you know, their whole entire family,
It's your family
cousins,
now.
aunts, to uncles and stuff like that. It's like, how amazing is that? Because my entire immediate family is gone.
Yeah.
You know,
And that's, hold on, let me touch on that point for a second. Not only was he in the position that he was in, he had no support system.
Zero.
So he had no
Zero
immediate
from what I
family.
remember. Not even being a pro freestyle motocross rider, like even being that status, the support, like Johnny said, as soon as he was low, everybody was gone. So I just wanted
they wanted money from me.
What do you say?
Every money from me.
Well,
Hey guys, real quick. I don't want to cut you off, but we're gonna get cut off. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna end the live really fast, and then I'm gonna go live again and just request to join so the watchers can keep watching and asking questions. But before we sign off, we have 4 minutes, so keep your thought in mind, Rikki. I just wanna, before these comments get deleted for the next one, I want to answer a couple questions.
Yeah, let me see what the questions are from other people.
My buddy Tice said off topic. Speaking of sticking to the one, I was back when you were talking about the needles with your grandfather with the white coats.
Wait, what?
what?
You're breaking up.
do.
I'm gonna do that
We
again.
can hear you.
Yeah,
Can you
you
hear
cut
me
now.
now?
Yeah.
Sorry, my finger was over the speaker. So my buddy Tice, he wants to know. He said it's very off topic. He said, but when the future COVID vaccine becomes quote unquote mandatory, what will you guys do? Take it?
Well,
Not take it?
It's the vaccine.
Yeah. How do you guys feel about vaccination?
See, I'm pro-vaccination, so I know that's a controversial topic. Our kids spraying water everywhere.
There you go.
However, with this one,
No. This is a no.
it's an unknown right now, so I'm not 100%. I don't think that there's, you know, there's a lot of theories about vaccination, right? So, and I appreciate those. However, for my situation, I would get, because I have health issues.
Yeah,
For
don't
me,
you have, I don't want to like go too into it, but it's MS, right? If you don't.
yeah, I was diagnosed with MS, and then I later found out I have Ehlers-Danlos, so it's another. But I have some issues with my immune system, so for me, those would be life-saving potentially. So I would just have to look at it and see. Johnny, you know, he doesn't have much of an opinion about all of that. You know, he'll do what I tell him to do.
Yeah, I'll just do whatever. No.
I know.
You know what? Survival.
But for me, you know, I appreciate everybody's opinion and perspective, right?
Okay.
However, for me, what's appropriate for me may not be appropriate for the next person. However, I think that.
So we can't give advice on to do something like that. It's your preference.
But I would.
Exactly.
I don't know. I'd have to research it.
Okay, so basically until you're absolutely presented with it, you don't know until you cross that bump, right? But you're
Right.
pro vaccine, so that's cool. Yeah, my same friend Tice, he was like, wasn't the voice of Simba played by Jonathan Taylor Thomas in Home Improvement? And I'm like, yeah, I think you're right. So I probably had the wrong guy, so I'll have to look up the IMDb. A lot of really awesome people joined, so I just want to say what up to all you guys. You guys are the greatest. Thanks for tuning in. Tice also says there's always two sides to every story, the truth, and then there's the receipts. So yeah. You guys are ready, you pull up the receipt. He's talking about, that was back with the military stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And then from there, my brother said he loves this. Mission Synthetics says grandpa's learning a lot. Hey, all right. Sorry, we got cut off. So for the first hour, Instagram only lets you go live for an hour. So sorry for everybody that didn't get to join and see the last answer. We'll cut it back in for the full episode on Sunday. So be sure to check the YouTube channel. Waiting for them to join back in. Just go follow TellYouWHUT official on Instagram if you want. Subscribe to our. Yeah. What up, Ryan? How are you, man? Rikki. All right, cool.
Hey.
So, yo, that was your dad who wrote that?
Yeah, that was my dad.
Tell Mr. Elliott I say hello. Hey, Mr. Elliott just signed in. I miss
you.
There
you go, Dad.
Well.
Hey, how do you?
Thank you guys for rejoining. So Rikki was just enlightening us a little bit. So continue. I'm sorry in case you remember what you were talking about.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I just wanted to answer the question from whoever it was about vaccinations.
It was oh yeah, that was my boy Tice.
Yes.
Is now that we're on a new live now, so we get another hour essentially, but all the old comments have deleted. So okay. Sorry guys, if you have the answer, you guys need to type them again because I will read them as they come in as soon as they're done telling me their story that they're telling. That being said, so Rikki's pro-vaccination. Jonny says he won't know until the time comes. And then Tice, you were right. I pretty much think Jonathan Taylor Thomas was the voice of Simba, so it had to have been one of the other guys whose moms gave that advice. But Rikki, let me ask you this. Like you were talking about all the moving you had to do and that you were at one point at a low point in your life. This is obviously before you met Jonny. You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to, but if you'd like to enlighten the audience and tell them what you went through and what you learned from it and how it got you to be where you are today, you know, like that would be pretty cool, I guess. Because like I said, you're not, the way you describe yourself is so humble. Oh, I'm boring. I'm into computers. Like the way I describe you is like, yo, this lady is like computers, bro. Like computers, you know? So.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to explain. You know, you get yourself into situations sometimes that you never think that you would find yourself in, especially when you're hurting and you've got trauma that you're dealing with. The best advice or what I could say to people is you have to really look inward and to find your personal strength when you're in those situations. And sometimes people are just they're gonna fuck up. Right? They're just going to fuck up. And we can't look at
people being yourself, you're referring to, or outside people? Okay.
Jonny, anybody. It's about having compassion and empathy for your fellow human being. And that is so important. And I think that we lack that.
That's why
I think Huh?
I said that's why I love you guys. We're literally cut from the same cloth, all three of us. It's hard to find people that are cut from that cloth, man.
And I've always been a kind of naive in that way. I've always, you know, growing up, my dad used to tell me that I was always goody two-shoes, and I would always try to find the good in everybody. Yeah. And when I found myself in a situation where I was dealing with a lot of trauma and people were taking advantage of me, I couldn't understand why these people were doing this. But I learned. You know, I learned and I brought myself out, but I still didn't change how I felt about people. I still felt that people were, for the most part, good.
Gave him the benefit of the doubt no matter what when you first met.
Exactly. Good. So when Jonny came into my life and he was fucking up, you know, and he was having a hard time and he lost his family, you know, I had to take from my experiences and draw from what I had gone through and tell him, look, we need to get rid of all of that. We need to get you away from all these people that are trying to take and take and take from you because they want to see you fail. Because with John, you know, he was in a point where he was really, really successful. And then he got to a point where he wasn't. And a lot of people around him were like, oh yeah, you're not now. They expected it. They wanted him to stay there. I said, look, we're going to do this. I'm going to take you in with your trash bag.
with your black trash bag. My God.
You're going to come in, and I'm going to teach you what I learned on my own, and we're going to do this.
And do you know how hard, for anybody who's just joining us again, like our new watchers, if you're just joining us, basically what Rikki's touching, I'm sorry, Rikki, my bad.
No, it's all right.
What Rikki's touching upon is how she and Jonny had met. Essentially, she reached out to him on Facebook. Jonny blew her off twice because Jonny knew he was in a bad place in his life after being at the most successful point of his life. Yeah. Jonny, well, put it this way: Jonny was on top of the world, and then he lost everything, and he was couch surfing, and he was in the position where, like, I sometimes feel like
it wasn't overnight. It took years.
It took a while of him.
Yeah.
Making 40.
And it was my, you know, I messed up my singing. You know what I mean? Like, I could have done things different, and
everybody, but you know what the thing with that is, for you to take self accountability. Like, that's where change starts to happen, and most people, like, until they realize that, and a lot of it comes at like the age of like.
And I still have to do that today. You know what I mean? Like, not as bad.
We practice. We in our household, we hold ourselves accountable for our actions, right?
So that you, Max, Addie, and Jonny, I assume.
Absolutely, all of us. We hold ourselves accountable for our actions, and that's something that we try to do on a daily basis. You know, and believe me, we're going to make mistakes. We are human. Everybody's human. We make mistakes, but we stop and we say, hey, and we stop and try to learn from those mistakes and have an open mind when we talk about it. So
that's why you guys have been together for so long. I can only tell you that because, like, living with you guys for as long as I lived with you, and like I said, you opened the doors for pretty much everything for me, you and Jonny. Like, my whole life on the West Coast and everything that came after that, online marketing, everything came from you guys essentially. And it all just stems from Rikki's empathy, guys. Like, think about that. Like, Jonny's life changed because he made the decision to show up. Rikki hit him up twice. He blew him up twice, and then the third time he was like, you know what? I'm just going to show up. And they're together 7 years later. And they
let me tell you a little bit funny story about that, too.
Okay.
So she shows up at my buddy's house, my buddy's parents' house, I don't know, something like that. Knocks at the door, and I was like, holy crap, she's really outside. And they open the door.
She's really outside.
And she looks like she has pants on that looks like George Michael's. Flared out the bottom when she walks in. I see steam and everything. I was like, oh my God, she's really here. And anyways, I was like, oh, I guess I'm getting in the car. We're going. And jump in our car and we're going. And we get almost to the base, right? You're like, I said, I have to go pee really bad.
No. We were going through Boyle Heights downtown.
I have no idea where I was at. Okay. Yeah. I said, I have to pee really bad. And she goes, oh, there's gas stations coming up. Okay. All right. Exit after exit, you know, I have to get worse and worse and worse and worse. So she finally pulled off to a place. Gary, Sue, I'm sorry to hear that you have to hear this, but we went over to a fence, and I just went pee with she had the headlights on still, so I could see what I was doing. And this is the first time we actually met in person. After that, we got to Oceanside, Oceanside.
No, Vista.
No, we went to Oceanside first. Then we went.
Oh, that's right. That's right. We did.
So we went to the bar. Then we go to your house and we watch Batman the new movie. Whatever, the new movie. We were HDTV.
Okay. What's up, Max? How are you, man? Are you having a good night? Say hello to everybody watching. So for everybody watching, this is Rikki and Jonny's son, Max. How old is Max?
Max is 2. And there's
Addison in the background. Addison, how old are you?
Well, I'm turning 12 in August. So.
What?
Can you believe that?
You're going to be famous, girl. Happy birthday in August. Real quick, Rikki, one of my friends, she's amazing. She wants to know, she says you're a super cool woman. Do you have your own Instagram, or is it just through Jonny's and EBE Apparel?
Oh, mine?
Yeah, do you have your own Instagram?
Yeah, Jonny Ebenal.
So I had my own Instagram, but I ended up so I I have a tech job, like a high-tech job that I got out here in Texas, and I kind of wanted to make my social media
presence gone.
Right. So I'm under EBE official, EBE media official, because I take photographs, but I haven't had the opportunity to do that as much yet. But I'm going to.
So for everybody who is asking, at EBE media official.
Yes, that's the one that I run.
I'll post that in the description later, so you guys got that. So what up, Pete? How are you? Thanks for the compliments earlier. Hope all is well. Max, you're so handsome, dude. You literally look just like your father and mother. Like, if they were to make a baby, that would be you.
Thank you, Addie.
Addison, you are literally. I swear you're gonna be famous. I didn't even know your birthday was
about writing, or they want to hear about my story? I mean, what do you think, Chris?
What'd you say?
With everybody's questions, do they want to hear about my writing career, or do they want to hear about
hey, honestly,
life?
So far with the questions that have been coming in, it's a lot of it has been so far based off what we've been talking about. So you guys have been giving really good advice, which is really good. People are engaging on that. Can you see the comments in yours or no? Because like when I go live on other people, I can't see them. I can only see a couple. But if you want to get into writing, we can get into writing. I just wanted people to learn a little bit about you guys first before we really dove into like the real stuff. But like whatever you guys want to dive into, this is your show. The floor is yours. The light is yours. Talk about whatever you want. Give whatever advice you want, because you guys have already told us about the lowest points in your life now. So if you want to talk about the highest points in your life and what you've learned from that, and then give some advice to people as well outside of the relationship advice and to just keep going. Because basically so far, for anybody who's listening, what we've learned from Jonny and Rikki is that no matter what you're going through, keep fucking going, because you didn't come this far just to come this far. And Jonny and Rikki have been through the gutter. Like, I'm talking mentally. Like, I don't want to intrude on Rikki's business, but I know personal stuff about her that like should never happen to any human being on the planet. And stuff about Jonny, he's already explained to you. And they've overcome that. And they've kept overcoming things and kept overcoming things. And they were so far apart from each other, both in like dark, dark places. And now all of a sudden they've met online, blown each other off, finally come together. And they've been together for 7 years now. They have 2 beautiful children. One of them just was born, you said, 2 years ago. I mean, like, you guys are doing really, really well for yourselves, and you guys are happy, right? That's the thing. That's the biggest thing, is the happiness. So dive into like the high points in your life now. So what's the highest point in your life, Rikki? Because you were talking about how you had this really big job and you wanted to eliminate your online presence so that you didn't have the Instagram. So if you want, you could talk about the tech job being the highest point, or if you have something better than that.
Absolutely. So this job, so the story is, I had a really good job that I got laid off from. I worked for a utility. I was IT person. I worked for a utility.
This is for Edison or before
for Edison? Yeah. You guys, a lot of us, thousands of us did.
I remember that. That was when I first moved there. You got laid off. So for anybody who doesn't know what Edison is, if you want to give a brief description, how big of like Edison,
it's a huge electrical utility in Southern California. So it's big. And they were good. I don't have any animosity towards them or whatever. They just had to do whatever they had to do at the time. But it was difficult for us, right?
That's the place, if you don't mind me asking, that's where they call it the Naval Tits, or no?
Jolly Parton's graveyard, the tits, whatever you want to call it. That's what people call it.
That's it. So anybody who's ever driven, that's on the 5, right? If you're
it's on the 5 South.
And you see the Naval Tits, that's where Rikki used to work.
Yes, that's where I used to work. My dad used to work there too, so did my sister. So we worked there for a long time, like almost 15 years. And
that's how long you were at Edison, for 15 years?
Yeah, almost 15 years.
Before getting laid off.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, so that was heartbreaking. After coming out of everything that I had gone through, it was another blow, right? So, fast forward, life happens, all that, meet Jonny and everything. So my dad in December had a major health issue, right? So he had I don't know if he's okay with me talking about this, but he had
Elliot, I'm praying for you, man, if you're still watching.
Yeah, he had a stroke, a very bad one.
Bad, he's fine.
Well, he's fine, but it was the kind where the blood vessel bursts and you bleed into the brain. So only like 27%, 30% of people survive something like that, a brain bleed. It's pretty serious.
Well,
I'll tell you what.
So hold on,
Look,
I know.
Look, the name of the show. I'll tell you what.
Right.
Praise.
So we had gone through that around Christmas. So my dad was in ICU during Christmas. And they had already bought a house out here in Texas because, you know, some events happened in my parents' life. So they're moved out here. They bought a house. And I said, you know what? It's time for me to look for a different job, right? And I've always wanted to work for a software company, a high-tech software company.
Speaking of which, Rikki got me a job working for an online marketing company too when I moved to California, which is why I do all of what I do now, because of this woman right in front of you. So continue.
I was looking and I applied for this job out here, not once, and I went in for an interview. They didn't hire me. Not twice, but 3 different times I applied. I interviewed twice.
So persistency is key in this game of life, is what you're saying.
Right. You have to have persistence, right? So I kept trying, and I kept positive and optimistic about it. And then I finally got a call, and I got the job. And then we ended up, had a month to like get everything together and then move all the way out here to Austin.
And that's where the job is now. The software job was in Austin. So you guys migrated from California, beautiful, sunny, everything over to Austin right now, which is like the new up and coming everything in America.
Right. Austin is very, very up and coming. And actually, to be honest, I really like the people out here in Austin.
Dude, I'll tell you, my old company I worked for, Power Home Remodeling, shout out to them. Like, they're honestly one of the greatest companies I've ever worked for. They opened up an office in Austin, and it was with predominantly New Yorkers who started that office, and they became one of the best offices out there. So if they knock on your door, please be nice to my guys for Power. They're going to try and sell you a free estimate on windows.
Really nice.
They get paid $200 just to give you a free estimate. So if you need any windows, siding, or roofing, or if you don't, it's a free estimate. Don't worry. There's no obligation. On the real though, like Austin, every one of them has nothing but like the nicest and most incredible things to say about the city, and I can't wait to come and visit you guys because from what I hear and from what I see, it's beautiful.
Yeah, and the people are just they're wonderful. It's a more like progressive area, so I like it.
That's awesome. It's right up your alley.
Yes, very much so.
Now let me ask you this. Not a lot of people in Austin, I assume, are as tatted up as you and Johnny are like they were out in Oceanside, California. Or do you get any weird looks like from like the Mormon people or the Catholic faith people, or like what's it like out there? Like, is there people staring at you weird or?
Out here, we're good. Austin area, we're good. When we were moving out here in like Fort Stockton area, that was completely different. People were kind of looking at us like, wow, those are interesting people.
Yeah.
You know, it's all right. But out here, it's no problem at all.
That's what I like to hear. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's no problem at all. So.
Beautiful. Really quick, there was one question that I saw. We're absolutely proud to have John in the family. Yo, Mr. Elliott, I love you for that because you guys took me in as like your family when I was there too. You guys are the coolest people I've ever met. They said, have you guys had any big stacks? Jess, if you want to enlighten us, I don't know what you mean by that, so just elaborate on the question a little bit more. We'll get to that. And then from Mark HRC Racing.
Yeah, Mark.
Mark, your boy wants to know how the Jeep commercial came about. Yo, for you guys not watching, Johnny,
very, very
Jeep commercial on the Super Bowl.
So Jeep hit me up.
No, it wasn't like that. Okay. It wasn't like that.
No, we got very, very lucky. You know,
we got very, very lucky. We were very, very grateful.
Okay. I got to work with Rikki Johnson.
Yes.
So Mark is going to know who that is.
And he was amazing, and his wife.
Dude, the guy's so rad. You know, he's an old school, you know, champion. He's still out there doing all this.
What's his name again? If you don't mind me asking, I didn't catch it.
Rikki Johnson, RJ.
This is not Ricky G that I know through you.
No, not Ricky G. No, Rikki Johnson.
No, and you need to look him up because he is. He's very.
Dude, he's very, a pioneer of the sport. Yes. I mean, the guy's.
For anybody watching right now, if you want to Google Rikki Johnson, go ahead. I'm doing it on the laptop as we speak. So continue.
He knows what Rikki Johnson knows what he's talking about, and he coaches. Doesn't he coach?
No, he works for the military now, and he does.
But doesn't he do stuff? Because I've seen him doing stuff with riders, trying to help.
Yeah, for the military. He works with the military, showing them how to like do these ATV kind of things or UTVs and different things like that.
Yeah.
But you know, look up Rikki Johnson. If you want to look up, you know,
his Instagram it says is at Year of the Rikki. So he's got his Google panel claimed. He was born in July 1964, and he's from El Cajon, California.
Here you go.
He's known as an American former professional freestyle motocross rider, off-road truck and stock car racer, and he's competed in AMA motocross.
Rikki Johnson.
He's a motocross.
He's a motocross guy.
Supercross.
It says AMA motocross and supercross during the 80s. This is insane, bro. This guy won 7 AMA national championships. That's crazy.
And you know, so it was really cool to work with him.
He's almost as badass as you. Oh my god.
Not even close, man. He's way more badass than I am. I'll tell you what. But for more question, you know, Chuck Carruthers hit me up years ago when I was, you know, just met Rikki. You know, hey, you know, I have this agent that's looking for somebody that has tattoos and can ride dirt bikes. I was like, duh,
that's me.
I could do that.
Hell yeah.
No, but he hit me up and asked me, and I didn't get the job. But you know, I met, you know, Heidi. Her name's Heidi.
You didn't get the job. You said
not the first one.
Not the first one. There were a lot of auditions that he went to. Just a few that you didn't get, but you got the 2 in a row. Which
I got 2 in a row.
If you don't mind me asking, these auditions are for completely separate roles, or all for the same role essentially? For the
different roles.
Different.
And I know somebody that has been working with this agent for over, I want to say 5 years, and only got 1 job. I don't know why. I have no idea why.
Because I'll tell you why.
Because I show.
Because you show up.
And I look handsome.
And because you treat people kindly, and that is so important.
Isn't it wild? It really does come down to how you treat people. The very first Netflix show that I was on, I can't say the name because it didn't air yet. I had to sign some stupid NDA. But when it airs, obviously, I'll let you guys know. But the bodyguard in the show, I'm shooting the shit with him because what most people fail to realize is, as an actor, you literally get paid the entire time. Like, if you're not the lead role, you're not filming the whole time. You're in the back waiting for hours. Like, if you have a 10-hour shift, you maybe are on camera for 2 hours shooting the same scene, and the other 8 hours you're in the back mingling with everybody else, as you know, Johnny. And you're eating the buffet, gassing people up with confidence.
Oh my gosh, stop.
That's all you do. So I'm fucking sitting there, and this guy tells me, he goes, dude, this is the best piece of advice I'm going to give you because this is the first time you said you've ever been on a show.
No one does that, though.
What'd you say?
I said no one does that. It's so cutthroat. Do you know what I mean?
And that's why when you said pay attention, I'm sitting there like, now for this story.
So that's so awesome if I do that for you.
Yeah, this dude was giving me advice on how to get more jobs in an industry that he was competing against me in, essentially. But he recognized the fact that his look and my look were 2 completely different looks, and he was being casted for Italian Guinea bodyguard jobs, and I'm going to be some fucking club-going ravehead. You know what I mean? Like, some fashionista. So I guess that's probably why he was, like, super cool. But more importantly, it was how we treated each other. You know, I don't smoke, but I keep a pack of cigarettes in my pocket when I go to things like that for people who do. And he asked if I had a cigarette. I gave him a cigarette. So now we're outside. I'm not smoking my cigarette because at this point, you guys know I tried to be sober for so goddamn long. I'm sitting there, and now we're talking while he's smoking his cigarette. He says to me, he's like, yeah, bro. He's like, the hiring company, or I guess it's called casting company. The casting company who did the casting for this show, they do a lot of casting for a lot of Netflix shows. And he goes, I didn't know that. He goes, but when I went to my first audition, this comes right back to what Johnny was saying, pay attention. He was paying attention to the fact that his audition was at 6:45 p.m. And he recognized that the producers or the casters inside that audition had to have been listening to people for hours say the same shit over and over again all day long before he got there, you know?
They don't get paid shit.
Yeah, right? I know. So this guy walks in, he tells me, he goes, it's the best piece of advice I'll ever give you. He goes, my first audition, they gave me 3 movies. They gave him 3 movies right there on the spot. Because one, obviously, his look, he fit the part for him. But he strolls in with 2 boxes of coffee and a bunch of donuts for the people. Like, it comes right back down to how you treat people. It's not even all about who you know or what you know. It's how you operate. You know what I mean? Like, and that's for the people watching. Make sure
As
you
long
treat
as you
people
look
right.
professional, you act professional, it's gonna reward you later.
Absolutely.
100%.
No matter what. That plus integrity. That's what it comes down to.
Integrity is really important.
Is that with an I or an E?
Stop.
So, again, for anybody watching, we're talking about this Jeep commercial that Jonny got hired for. And Jonny, this Jeep commercial is so well known. Why?
Because it's Jeep.
And?
Because I'm in it.
Yes. When was it aired, though? What was it aired during?
The Super Bowl.
It was, no. Was it aired during the Super Bowl? Oh, yes,
Super Bowl
it did.
commercial,
That's
dude.
right, they did. Oh, my God.
That's why the royalties are rolling in. That was Jonny got this lucky gig, right? Is what he's saying.
You help Nipplegate.
Showed up,
Jackson.
killing it. Like, but think about it. It all comes down to showing up. You went to all those auditions. It all comes down to persistency. You kept getting rejected, even after all the obstacles you've overcome in life.
That sounds so bad.
Nah. Think about it. Like, you guys overcame so much. And then you went to all these auditions, and they still said basically fuck off. And then out of nowhere, again, bang, now you get a phone call. That changes your life yet again. I'm just trying to reiterate to the audience that, like, no matter how low or high you are, all it takes is 1 second, one call, one person to change everything.
You got to remember, so, you got a bunch of different guys that do freestyle motocross for a living.
And they're
every
all
single day.
very talented and
badass writers. You got Twitch, you got Chuck Carruthers, you got Derek Garland, you got all these people that work with the same agent, but they're out there still doing shows. Luckily, I'm way past due. Put a fork in me, I'm done. I'm home all the time. So somehow, they contact me while they're on tour, and I get the job. You know what I mean?
Amazing.
I did a bad job.
No, you did.
I did.
The one thing about Jonny that I have to tell everybody is that when he gets into a position, especially on set, he is so professional.
He's a perfectionist and a professional.
And knows exactly how to manage the situation. And that is what's so great about him, is that when he's put in a spot.
You know why I do that? Because I don't want to get hurt. So I start pointing fingers and be like, okay, can you guys go do this? Where's the ramp at? Can we do this? How big?
But he knows. He knows through experience. And
I just don't want to see anybody else get hurt. I'm the first person that says, all right, I'll do it first.
Oh, their question just popped across.
Saw that? What advice would you guys give a new couple in quarantine right now?
Low, bro.
No, this one right here. What advice would you give a new couple? All right, this is the advice that I would give. Okay, have patience with each other. You're stuck in the house, and y'all are just.
Yeah. Do you guys live together?
Yes, that would be a good question. Obviously, they do if they're in quarantine too.
Hilarious.
Hey, we were trying to
so
do
sorry.
rock, paper, scissors.
It said that my phone overheated. I'm in New York. My phone overheated. I don't understand what just happened. So I'm sorry, guys. I got the fan hooked up now.
Answering your question about quarantine, right?
Yeah, about what advice you would give to a couple that's a new couple in quarantine.
Just have patience. Lots and lots of patience. And I know that's hard
Go
sometimes.
deeper.
What'd you say, Jonny?
I said go deeper.
Okay. So try to have empathy for that other person, because y'all are stuck in the house, right? And there's a lot. It's not only that you're stuck in the house, there's a lot of different stressors. So for me, I'm a very anxious person. This is like my worst nightmare happening right now with COVID-19. Like, I am a person who's not 100% healthy. I have some autoimmune issues. This scares me, right? So I may have a different reaction to situations than Jonny would. However, when Jonny, he can have a different reaction to whatever his stressor is. So it's all about having empathy for your partner, right? The patience for your partner. That's taken us a little while to get here, because Jonny and I have had some fucking fights, right? So.
Oh, I've seen him. Trust me, I know.
We've had some fights, but it's all about understanding. Okay, so he's upset. Why is he upset? Like, let me try to put myself in his situation for a minute and figure out what is eating him on the inside.
Because the dogs didn't eat food. No, I keep the dog for the night.
But it's important to try to, you know.
Hey, real quick, Johnny, that was a great idea.
About what?
Man, every time I always used to say to Johnny, yo, that's a great idea. He's like, it's the only kind of ideas I got, man.
Yeah, he says that. He says.
You're only human.
Hey, real quick, they said the sound is low. Can you guys hear us? If you could hear me, guys, or if you could hear Johnny and Rikki, just give me a thumbs up, please. I want to make sure.
Mic check. Mic check. Mic.
There's only 3 people on right now. I think because we got cut off and fucked it up, so I apologize.
3, 2, 1.
Let me see what other questions we got here. Let's see. So we talked about the Jeep commercial, how that was in the Super Bowl, how that came about. Oh, she was talking about my friend Jess when she said, did you guys ever get any like really big stacks? She was talking about for motocross. So obviously, Jess, to answer that, yeah, they were basically saying like Johnny's been in movies like we were talking about, Charlie's Angels. He was in that other movie with Channing Tatum, the Supercross movie, and now he's acquired a Jeep commercial that was aired on the Super Bowl. So you could only imagine the royalties that roll in from that, hopefully. So that's helping out, thank God. And
oh my God, it helped out so much.
It helped out a lot. And we're very grateful for that, especially having gone through what we went through. So.
You know what's so funny? What's her name?
Jess?
Jess, okay. You know what's so funny about these commercials, Jess? And these shows, I was painted like this. I stood up like this. I really did, Chris. And they
that was for Supercross the movie.
Yeah.
Wait,
and they
covered up all your tattoos?
Yeah, they covered everything up. They took a sponge and they take this sponge and they go like this. And they dap it all over me. On my chest, my neck, my arm, and they would sit there and they'd airbrush me. So I'd stand there and I'm trying to make it look like, so I'd stand with my arm out and they would spray it, and they would spray my arm. So it looked orange before, and then they would spray it. And I looked like a goddamn Ken ball.
Just to cover up all the tattoos for this commercial, they spray painted your whole body basically, or spray tan.
This is for the movie.
What's it called?
Supercross the Movie.
Oh, that was
with
for
Channing
Supercross,
Tatum,
not for the Jeep.
or whatever his name is, Magic Mike.
Who cares?
And I didn't have my face tattooed. I think I had like a little bit on my neck, but they had to do all this work on my chest because they had to sit there and they put this like V-neck on me. Yeah. And it was a laced up V-neck, I guess, chick laced up. I don't know. I have no idea.
You threw it anyway.
Yeah, but they put a different bra on me for different characters. So I was 2 different females.
Bro,
so they had different
I'm about to watch this movie tonight just so I could see you in a fucking lace.
Oh, wait till you see the broad shoulders. The broad shoulders as a chick, yeah, you see the broad shoulders and you see somebody riding, yeah, it's either going to be me or I think Twitch or somebody else. And what's funny about
Twitch, dude, he was a big name in the game back then.
Back then, I just got paid for the day, you know. Yeah, but I had black, and there was a scene where I had to do like back then. This trick was like almost brand new, you know, like it just came out. So you go off the jump. You know, it was 80 feet. It wasn't 75, and it was a big kicker, so it was a little bit bigger than normal.
Is this over dirt or is this metal to metal over cement? Because when I met you,
metal to dirt
over cement.
It's metal to dirt, so it's ramp to dirt.
A little more forgiving than if you fall on cement going 80
absolutely,
because, miles an hour.
Because I eat shit.
Okay.
And so, you know, with the double grab, you know, you let go of the handlebars, you float back, you grab the handlebar or the back of the bike, and you push it out. Your feet are super high, and you're just chilling.
You're basically talking like a Superman seat grab, double grab almost.
Double grab, yeah. And your hands are up, but yeah, you let go. So you're without the bike for a good I don't know how many seconds. It's not a second. It's way quicker than that.
Yeah,
so
but it feels like the world. I can imagine.
Yeah, well, you keep doing it. You know, you sit there and you walk back and keep doing it. And they're like, all right, well, we're going to put a man lift over here on the landing. So, you know, now we have a man lift. The guy's super high. You got a camera guy up here. You got a camera guy at the bottom. You got a camera guy over there watching. You know, they want all these different views of the same trick so they can glorify it.
Now,
and
they made you do this trick that many times too, or they just had that many angles? Like, how many times?
No, they made me do that many times.
Wow, that's crazy.
So they get all the different angles. They kept asking. No, they wanted to glorify how long I let go of the bike. Because, you know, you go like this. But they made it look like
they would slow-mo it so it
like I was like a
5, 6
seagull
seconds.
above the sea. And
Isn't it crazy the effects you can have, though?
Huh?
Isn't it crazy those special effects though? Like, dude, like you let go of your bike in real time, it's like a less than a second. But on that movie, I'm sure.
It was a millisecond. Yeah, and it felt like forever. But you know, the funny thing is they had me in that lace-up shirt with a bra that had implants. They airbrushed my arms and sponged my neck, my chest because I have cleavage, and then they had me wear a helmet. My helmet with pigtails. So it was like a wig with this pigtail. And it was funny because I kept doing this trick.
Wait, hold on. They gave you a wig so you could have like a flow out the back?
No, I'm going to wear the wig and then put my helmet on.
Was it blonde? Tell me it was blonde. Like this.
There was a blonde and a brunette, but this one was a brunette.
Okay, so you got both of them, but the brunette wig is...
Yeah, I got both, but this one was caught on tape. You could see it in the credits, and also it was... Rikki and I found it.
It's in the trailer of the movie.
In the trailer of the movie, yeah.
That's where you crashed.
Yeah, and I crashed, so I come off, and it's 80 feet. So back then, 80 feet with the super popper, like, it was unheard of. You know, but
explain to our viewers really quick what you're talking about with the jump type. Like, after you said 80 feet, that term you used. The term you used after you said after 80 feet, explain to the viewers what it is.
Super popper?
Okay, so it's a ramp it's more steep. You know, it's not, you know, like, so say you go to a soccer game, right? No, I know, Chris, you have a goalie fence, right?
Okay.
And it's regulation. It's so many feet wide and so many feet tall, right?
Okay.
To make
how fast do you have to, if you're going into one of those kind of jumps and it's an 80-foot jump, how fast do you have to be going on a dirt bike in order to
Okay, this is coming down, but it's only second gear.
What'd you say?
It's only second gear, but you have to hit it really hard. But you're going 80 feet, about 45 feet in the air. I mean, it's big. But you got to remember that ramp is 8 feet tall, 24 feet long, 4 feet wide. And
see, this is stuff that people don't think about when it comes to freestyle.
No, everything's goes. God, it's so easy. Let me go hit it. They overjump it and they go to the moon and they paralyze themselves. Anyways, I got that damn close to doing that. But what I did was I let go of the bike. I flew back, I grabbed the seat, I did the rock solid, and I was tired because you know why? They had catering down at the bottom of the hill, and I didn't get to eat the catering. And I remember somebody coming up with a plastic or a paper plate, and the cornea sauce on. I was like, man, that looks super good. I better get this done. And I give you some food. I love that
He
stuff.
eats like no other. So it's like when he doesn't get to eat, get off
blood pressure goes through the roof. So I flew off the back of the bike, grab it, and let go. And the last thing I remember, well, I remember the entire thing, is I go like this, and I go like this, and I miss the bike, and I just go like this, and you can see the pigtails go. And they go straight up, and I just go, bam, bam.
Right.
If you look it up on YouTube,
you can see it.
Look up Supercross the Movie, the trailer. And
the trailer for it.
The trailer for it.
I got my feet under me, everything.
You could see the crash that's happening. It's like a silhouette.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you. You got to send me this footage because I haven't seen it yet. So.
That's Johnny. Yeah. That's
Supercross the Movie, guys, and look for the trailer so you can see this crash because I'm gonna look.
And you know what's so funny too? Because they just put a man lift at the bottom landing, and so that was kind of messing up the whole thing. And I remember, like, man, I hope I don't hit the fucking landing or hit the man lift. And it's so funny. So I go off, I throw the trick completely. Sorry, Rick. That's all right. And I missed the bike, and I'm just thinking in my head, I was like, this is gonna suck. But you know what, Chris?
But now, before you miss the bike, tell our viewers how many bones you've already broken, how many surgeries you've had, and how much medical bills that you had when I met you.
Okay, can I just? How about this? I walked away from this.
Did you really have to get a ragdolled like that?
Yes, I walked away from this. It scratched up my makeup on my arm. They sent me back down the hill, and they sponged me back up, and they had me hold my arms out, and they sprayed me again. then I had to go put that wig and bra on and laced up shirt and finish the shoot. And I did.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm glad you walked away from that because I know that when I met you, you had $200,000 worth of medical bills from all
More than that.
Like, guys, if you're watching this, freestyle motocross is no joke. Like, I snowboard, I've broken my neck, I've got titanium in me. Like, dude, the amount of bones Johnny's broken and the surgeries he's had to overcome, for him to be at his age and still do what he does is mind-boggling. Understand that. Like, that's
mind-boggling. It's like when your mind gets all bottled up in your head.
Hey, but you know what it is, though? It all comes down to commitment. Like, even when you're going to do a trick in any sport, especially freestyle motocross, doesn't it just come down to commitment? Like, you got to dial it in with the vision first.
It depends on the trick. So when it comes to a flip, absolutely.
You have to,
You have to commit. You have to push your feet in. You got to push your legs in. You have to pull and you have to wait.
But
you
that's
have
something.
to wait.
That's
it's like you can make a call. It takes so long to make that rotation. You can probably make a call and say, "Can I get a pizza?"
For a backflip rotation, that's how long you can make a phone call.
It feels like that. It really does because it's like the longest gainer that you've ever done. And the problem is and I sucked at flips, dude. I suck, and that's the reason why I don't flip.
You always used to say that to me, and I never believed it, and I still don't believe it because I've seen it.
I've done it, but I won't. There's no way. I suck so bad at it.
You know who else sucks at flips? You ever watch the show Ridiculousness with Rob Dyrdek? He says he's got a backflip.
I was on tour with him.
What'd you say?
I was on tour with him.
Were you? Oh my God! See, Rob, Johnny's just throwing shit at people that we don't.
No, I'm not. I didn't mean it like that. No, I thought it was the same tour. It was the Journey's tour. Oh my God, you're on the man. You're on the Journey tour.
That was the tour I met you.
Yeah, but a different style.
Yeah, of course, but the Journey
tour. I was on tour with Bam Margera.
Yeah. See,
I went to Bam's house. Stayed there for more than 3 days when I was supposed to be there for one night.
After I moved out from you guys and I moved into the studio over in Oceanside, and then from the studio in Oceanside, I moved to that house that was closer to the beach, like 2 blocks away, when I had the 2 roommates. Dude, one of the kids in that house, his name was Evan. I'm not going to give you his last name, but Evan's best friend is the producer for Jackass. Like, bro, I didn't believe it. This kid was showing me. He kept telling me these stories, like, yo, me and Bam Margera this, me and Bam that, and I'm just like, yo, you're just some asshole from New Jersey.
I met Bam. You know,
he was in my tour bus. I mean, this kid.
Yeah, and I was like, hey, say what's up, because you know, Novak, Naked Novak, he knows me, and him and I hung out at Bam's house, and it was funny because I showed up in the tour bus, and it was Pennsylvania, you know, like it was after we met you, I think, it had to be, and we go in the tour bus and we show up. There's Ryan Dunn. Ryan Dunn's out there. He's like, "You would do a backflip."
Now I will tell you, I loved Ryan Dunn.
Dude, he's such a cool.
I loved him.
God bless his soul, rest in
peace. He was my favorite, and I was heartbroken.
Such a rad dude, and he was only there for like I want to say an hour. You know, so I got to hang out with him just a little bit. You know, and you know, obviously he didn't give all his attention to me.
It's funny because how you feel about Ryan Dunn is how I feel about you. Just so you know.
But I'm still alive. That's a sad joke, actually.
That's
one of my so Jess Morales says or Jess Morales, sorry, she said her kid did a bike trail ride and he came back all bruised and bleeding. She can only imagine what it's like doing crazy jumps and stunts like what you do. Like
you did a what?
No, he was on a trail ride and he came back and he was bruised and bleeding.
Oh yeah, of course that's going to happen.
Yeah, that's going to happen.
You know what?
That's a part of the game, Jess. So if he likes it, just
hold on. Let your kid keep doing that. Honestly, because natural terrain is going to teach them so much more than a ramp to dirt.
Really?
Anything to do ramp to dirt.
So for anyone trying to get into dirt bikes, you think natural terrain is the best thing, essentially?
Well, you want natural, you know, you want to learn like something, you know, say if you go off a jump and there's a rock, you know, all of a sudden.
Look at people like Twitch and Colby. Colby is a kid that used to come to our house, and he is so amazing. Yeah. And the shit that he does, shit that Twitch does out on natural terrain is the most amazing, amazing stuff.
And I'm telling you right now, with freestyle motocross, everybody's losing that. It's a lost art. I swear to God, dude. Look it up. You're going to see guys that can't whip a dirt bike, but they could do backflip body barriers.
Wow.
They can whip a dirt bike.
Dude, that's
and
like...
I'm not good at whipping bikes. And, you know, actually,
you could do it in your day.
But you know, I'm talking about, like, there's
that's
so...
That's like when it comes to snowboarding. I have a buddy who cannot spin. Dude, the kid cannot do a 360 if his life depended on it, but he could do a double backflip, no problem, off of a 60-foot kicker. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, yo, that's just crazy to me. But I mean,
but you know what? You got to get outside of your comfort zone. Do something different. And, you know, if you're not good at it, you know, figure out how you could be good at it. You know, you don't have to be the best rider, snowboarder in the world. It doesn't come down to talent. It comes down to training. If you could sit there and train and train and train, if you have the resources,
perseverance,
and just do it and do it and do it, you could change your entire life, and you could actually do something that's so different. And, you know, and the progression of any sport is about the younger generation.
The last podcast that I was on, it's funny you said the younger generation. I'm going to come back to that in a second, because Sir Alex Ferguson, the head coach of Manchester United for so many years, had an incredible theory about that when it came to sports. But, shit, I fucking brain farted, bro. I don't remember what I was going to say before that, so I'm just going to pick it back up. What were you just saying right before that, if you don't mind me asking?
About the younger generation. So you're talking about, like, somebody...
Right before that. Oh, the perseverance. So, like, for you guys, like, a lot of people that are watching, like, people give up if they get rejected once or even twice. But like you guys keep saying, just you've got to persevere. That's rule one in life. But my last podcast that I was invited to with my buddy Tice, who was watching earlier and asking a couple questions, his biggest thing in life is kind of like what you're saying. He was consistent persistency. Like, you have to be persistently consistent and consistently.
And you don't have to be the best guy. You don't have to be the bad dude. You have to have the heart.
It's just work ethic. That's it.
It's absolutely.
Everybody says, you know, like when preparation meets execution, that's where success happens. And like you said, you don't have to be the best, but if you love it, passion is purpose in this game of life. So make your life the way you want it to be, right?
If you have some kind of a dream, it doesn't matter if it's dirt bikes, it's skateboarding, snow sledding,
computers,
fly fishing. It doesn't matter if it's fly fishing or crawdad hunting. If you want to be the best at it, it doesn't take natural talent. It just takes time and learn it, and then do it.
And
I never had natural talent. I just did it, and I feel.
You know what's crazy about you saying that? What age were you when you started dirt? This is what I learned when I went to that funeral with you in Castaic. What age were you when you started dirt biking, and how did you get into it?
I worked at Subway, and I was about 18 years old.
18 years old. This guy became a pro freestyle motocross rider after deciding, after the age of 18 years old, that that's what he wanted to do.
Well, that's when you come to do the dirt bike. My mom, you know, they took our college fund and got my brother and I dirt bikes. And we took the dirt bikes, and it was a 98 Kawasaki, and just rode it to the ground. I remember the last time I rode it, I was riding it, like, wide open. It just locked up on me. It just went, shh. And I fell down. Man, that sucks. At that time, I was going to homeschool because I was actually, you know, sorry, Rick.
That's all right.
I was going to homeschool because I didn't care about high school. And so I slid out, and it was funny. So I finally got a 2001 Honda. That was my first real dirt bike.
Okay.
125.
You paid for this yourself, or somebody gifted it to you, or a sponsor, or how?
Oh, no, I worked my ass off for that. But my grandparents also helped me. You know, no, I worked my ass off for that bike. The first bike, my grandparents and my mom got. My brother and I a dirt bike.
See that?
With the 2001 bike, I got this. Huh?
I said, you see that? Grandparents are the best.
Oh, they're the best. Oh my God. And I have other funny stories about my grandpa when I learned a new trick, but.
Yeah, that's a funny
it's pretty funny. So I had this YZ125, and I had a place to ride. So all these badass riders would come over to my house, and because no one had ramps at that time. Yeah. And you know, I lived on property, and I was the only kid there.
This is in Castaic. You had all this property.
Castaic,
so people coming to your house to ride now, basically.
Yeah, from Reno, from all over the world, they'd come over.
And these are pro guys, or these are just badass
pro guys? Yeah, they were still Adam Jones, Kenny Bell, Drake McElroy, Colin Morrison. I think Twitch even come out, and then also Ronnie Renner. And
that's crazy. And you were just like basically because you got this dirt bike while working at Subway at 18, you started meeting these dudes. Wow. Who was the first person you met to bring people to your place?
Shane Trittler. The problem was where I grew up. It's not a problem, but where I grew
Shane
up.
Trittler, you said?
Shane Trittler.
I fucking love that guy. Race around the lake, baby. Shout out Shane Trittler. What up, dog? Shane Trittler, the guy I met with you back when you were on the Journeys tour, is the reason you are in basically freestyle motocross, essentially.
If it wasn't for him, I'd still be working at Subway. I'll tell you what.
Yo, Shane Trittler, man, shout out to you then.
Hey, so when I was a kid and I was working at Subway, I never missed a day. It didn't matter. It did not. My bike was stolen out of my garage. I had a broken collarbone. I still went to Subway and I made sandwiches. It didn't matter. I had such a great work ethic, like it was insane.
That's it.
And I remember Shane would always come in because he had to go up north to Gorman to his track.
Okay.
His business was on a track or a land, so he had a track, and he'd always come in and get a sandwich. And I had a broken collarbone. I don't know if it was the left or right. I can't remember because I've broken them both a few times.
Yeah, I know you have. You've broken like every bone in your body, bro.
It's pretty bad. But I remember I was like walking around. I remember him coming in. I was like, hey, because I used to flag for him. But I was like, hey, man, I know how to jump dirt bikes. Can you let me jump your ramps at your track? And he goes, no, we're not.
Wait, really?
I kept doing it, and I had a broken collarbone, and I was working. I was making him a sandwich. He goes, I'll let you hit the ramp as long as I talk to your mom and that you don't kill yourself. But I need permission from your mom. Okay. I was like, yeah. So I got permission from my mom. I went up there and I hit it in my softball jersey, elbow pads.
Wait, what happened? What happened? You got cut out. Sorry.
And I jumped it. Well, I didn't. Anyways, and then after that,
parent life.
Oh no, look. Hi, Max.
Yeah, buddy. Yo, honestly, the kids are being amazing during this hour-and-a-half long show so far. So you got great kids, just letting you know. So keep going.
Okay, what part?
Wait, hold on.
Okay, so how I got into freestyle?
Well, you were talking about how Shane just talked to your mom and basically said as long as you don't die, he lets you hit the ramp. So now
he said, I didn't want to see you die. He goes, I'll get permission from your parents, or your mom and your grandparents. And he's like, I'll take you up and I'll show you how to hit a ramp. And basically the rest is history. You know, and Shane and I, we became such best friends. Like, to me, he was like a father figure because I didn't have, you know, like my stepdad had passed away. But Shane to me was like a father figure. You know, he was like the guy that I would look towards. And I remember all my friends.
Was he that much older than you? Because I remember Shane when I met you guys. I thought you guys were the same age.
He's about 7 years older than me. Tell him I said that too.
This is
older than dirt.
This is what Johnny meant. Okay, he's only about 10 years older. Maybe
no, trust me, I know.
Johnny, he looks up to Shane.
Yeah, I did. I really did.
Like an older brother.
Until I met to know him, you know, until I really got to know him. I was like, you are a dirtbag, but you don't have no people in you.
That goes for all of us.
Nah, it's such a legend.
Oh, no.
We love Shane very much. Yeah. So anything.
Obviously, look where you are. You guys are living it. My goodness, dude. So Shane Trittler, shout out to you because honestly, you were one of the reasons that I got to chill on a Rockstar tour bus, hang out with Metal Militia riders, and meet Jonny Ebenal, and then get a life out on the West Coast of California. So I guess without Shane Trittler, I wouldn't be.
The dudes around, you know, and you know, I have to say, Shane has been undermined. Is that the best way to say it?
Like, what are you
undermining? Like the dude did so much for the sport. He's so humble about it. Okay, and no one gave him that respect, and they took that away from him.
Okay, so
even with the Rockstar ramps too, and the tour bus, I remember that.
He was a pioneer. He did all the stuff before anybody else did.
He's under-recognized
absolutely.
For his contribution to the sport.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Is what he's trying to do. So And we had that conversation when, remember that year that, I'm not going to say who it is, but he tried to have a conversation with you. Yeah, it was a very civil conversation. He's done very well since then. So we're, being supportive of him. But yes, I agree with you.
Dude, no one had ramps like Shane. No, it was the first thing that was ever done. Shane did it, and it's just
under-recognized. Yeah. He's under-recognized.
And it was. I remember that. Like when I met you guys, like I said, you pulled up with the tour bus, and this guy had ramps attached to the back. You guys were setting up ramps in a parking lot.
It was never around.
That was it.
You know, when Shane and I started this thing, or when Shane started this and let me be on board of it, we drove in a F-350 dually white truck
with the tires out the side. Oh my God.
And we drove all the way, and I remember almost running out of gas a bunch of times, a few because of the people. And we made this trip. After that, Shane was like, okay, I can make a living doing this. And he took it to a whole different level. He got that Peterbilt front end, used truck, built the whole back, and then redesigned the landing ramp. And over the years, it got better and better and better. But you know what got better? Somebody else doing the same thing.
Of course. I mean, they always say there's always somebody better.
And it just so happens to be, Shane was working, he had his own thing. I'm not going to mention any of the ideas that we had or Shane had.
Dude, all I remember is everything that came out of both of your mouths.
Minded person in this industry as far as the dude was the baddest dude on the track too. He was super legend. Dude, he was in magazine, everything, and no one gives him that credit. They look.
Well, they're getting that credit now. Hopefully, anybody that sees this episode will know. Because I mean, like, shout out, seriously, go follow. If you're not following Jonny, first of all, it's at Ebenal, Ebenal. So go give Jonny a follow. I'll type that in the comment section. But if you guys want to follow Shane Trittler, like, dude, go give Shane a follow too. Google him because Shane Trittler, like Jonny said, is completely under-recognized in the industry. And that guy's a pioneer.
He is.
Like a
full He probably ignore you. He's the most biggest flake in the world. But he's the biggest sweetheart. And him and I would be on the road for hours and hours. We'd go from Walmart to Walmart and listen to Jim Croce. The stupidest stories in the world, and we'd listen and drive all night, and we did more than that. But
you guys just got a lot of love for that one. A bunch of hearts just flew up. Hey, one of my followers, Jackie Kowal, she wants to know: have you ever driven a monster truck?
You know what? I wish.
So you have not.
Jackie, I wish.
We were at a couple shows where they were. We brought grandma.
You were at a couple shows, but I've done a ton of shows with these guys. And
dude, there's pictures where there's monster trucks flying over your head on your Instagram. That was
yeah, Grave Digger, and then the one at night. But when you do these arena shows and you have all these different monster trucks, it's crazy when you hear that like button start the thing, and it just growls at you, and you're just like, wow. And these guys are like super humble.
They are amazing.
Wow,
they are amazing. Remember when okay.
Hitting on grandma?
Not hitting on grandma. Okay.
Hold on, before this goes anywhere, I met the original Bigfoot
driver. Try to tilt your camera down a little
sorry.
No, you're good.
I met the original Bigfoot driver, and he told me how he broke his back jumping a 747 wing-to-wing tip, and then he gave me a Budweiser. This is the first thing I remember. It was pretty awesome.
That's a fucking story, right?
And my grandma, she came out to a show out in India. Was it in India?
Bobby Lee.
Well, when Bobby Lee was there, we loved Bobby.
That's Coachella, right? Indio,
California. There was Coachella, yeah. Okay. Indio, that area. And who was it?
I want to go.
The driver of Gravedigger, the dad.
The original driver, and then also his son.
Okay, so
Sorry, we got cut off again, guys. Instagram only lets you go for an hour live, so this is a long show. We're on 2 hours. Thanks for staying tuned. That's wild. You guys are amazing. Hey, there they are. I forgot to tell the audience that's in already that Instagram cuts us off after an hour. So, guys, we've been on for 2 hours.
It's only been an hour.
It's
2 hours.
It's
wow.
Crazy.
2 whole hours. Addison, you're still in the show. I love you, girl. Killing it.
I was saying, like, I had such great dance moves.
Yeah.
changed a lot since then.
Oh, I could only imagine.
Like, this is what we see now on social media.
Yo, she's got TikTok on lock. Look at that. I told you she's gonna be famous one day.
More. It's like,
Ew.
Yeah. All right. So back to what we were talking about. I'm sorry we got cut off. I apologize. Dun dun dun. You guys both looked at each other like you had no idea what we were talking about, because I have no idea what the fuck we were talking about either.
I forgot to.
We were talking about grandma monster.
Your mom's.
Oh yeah, you're Nana.
Yeah, grandma.
Oh, you were talking about the arena shows, the 747, the guy with the Budweiser, and the monster trucks. Jackie, thank you for reminding me.
Wait, what?
Jackie just reminded us that we were talking about the monster trucks and the guy that you had met who gave you the Budweiser after trying to jump this.
No, the original driver of Bigfoot. The original driver. So the blue truck.
Okay.
So that was a long time ago. So dude, he had a mullet, and he was like, "Yeah, dude, when I jumped the 747 wing to wing, broke my back." And you know, it was pretty rad. He goes, "Do you want a beer?" And he had Budweiser. You know, it was just.
And he's just casually telling you your story, handing you a beer.
Huh?
He's just casually telling you the story. Like, yeah, I broke my back jumping.
I'm sure he already drank the beer before he jumped the 747. This guy was a legend. But you know what? Bigfoot was such a big name. When I was a little kid, I was playing with Bigfoots like this. I was like,
I remember that truck, dude. They had a monster truck thing out here one time, and I remember when I was a little kid, my dad took us to it, and that truck was one of the trucks in it. Like that,
yeah,
kind of like the circus truck they tore around.
Oh yeah, he toured around with the whole sport. Like, so when you did these, well, later on it became Monster Jams, but before that it was something else.
Yeah, okay.
I can't remember what it was called. And you know, it was, you know, basically like it was more like bull arenas. You know, like where they do horse racing and
yeah, like they put you inside. They put you inside like a hockey rink and
no. And they would sit there and they'd bring dirt in, and they would, you know, and then the trucks would come in, they would paint it. But you know, it was all it got bigger and bigger every year. But there was a circuit. But before, well, I guess monster trucks were always. I think monster trucks took freestyle motocross to where it's at today. It's not freestyle. Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Okay. We were a sidekick in monster trucks, and because the fans of monster trucks seen that, it took it where it's at today.
You think that's wild?
Absolutely.
What you think NASCAR has anything to do with it too, or two completely different industries in and of itself?
No,
with the fans at least is what I'm.
No, it was monster trucks had this going on, and for like so when the monster trucks were done, and you wanted to get your popcorn, we'd come out and start doing jumps. So we were the sidekick. So, you know, but it caught attention, and it really caught on because at that time,
bike or freestyle motocross essentially got its exposure. You're saying is as you.
I say it was close. Yeah, that was a part of it, absolutely.
That's cool,
in that industry, because freestyle motocross, it wasn't a thing then. It was something like if you were going to be a dirt bike rider, you had to be mainstream. It's like NASCAR today. You had to be mainstream. Clean cut, sponsors, hat, straightforward, don't wear it backwards, and represent, don't drink, don't do anything but be professional.
Like Travis Pastrana, pretty much.
Yeah, Travis, actually, you know what? Travis is amazing. Yeah, and he's a huge pioneer from taking Suzuki and being like, oh, well, he was like the first factory, well, he's already factory Suzuki, but I believe he stayed factory Suzuki for a while. But they're like, oh, well, you know, you're too much of a liability. So he had factory, what's it called? God, darn it. Like shops that would give him a bike. It didn't straight come.
You moved the phone when you did that.
Just so
yeah, show the passion.
It's a private beer kind of deal with freestyle motocross, and that's unheard of. Yeah. So he was getting bikes, but it wasn't coming straight from the factory.
Okay.
As far as I know, I could be wrong. Travis, are you out there?
He's definitely out there. I don't know if he's watching, but he's out there.
But he was doing all these different things, and he took it to such a different level, and he got into big trouble when he jumped into, I don't know what river it was, when he won X Games. and he had broken his arm or something like that. I don't know. And he got in big trouble. And, you know, you can't represent somebody like that because, you know, somebody's going to get hurt and they're going to get a lawsuit.
That's why, isn't it weird? So what I found out through you, essentially, and a couple of my other professional friends who do professional sports, is even like people like Travis. I mean, he's a little bit different because he's Travis Pastrana, but you being Jonny Ebenal, these sponsorships, they do not insure you guys. You don't get medical insurance. You have to pay your own. So
no,
if you
they
break
don't.
your bones, they drop you from sponsorship, essentially, correct?
That's right.
No.
Okay,
Well,
so Chris, I have some issues with this.
Okay, lay it on me.
But I will in a minute, but I'll let Johnny say what he's going to say.
Okay.
So basically what happens, it depends on who you are, and it depends on how well known you are.
Yeah, like if you're Shaun White, you're getting your legs insured, and they're going to pay for it for Burton. But if you're Christopher Attardi, you ain't getting shit. But,
or if you're Jonny Ebenal, you're not getting shit. Okay, so you might get a T-shirt, but you're not getting paid anymore. So as soon as you break your leg or something like that, you're done. Unless you have a written contract. But you know what's so funny about these written contracts? They disappear so fast.
They disappear fast, you're saying.
Or there's a void, you know, because you always trust these people, and there's always this kind of void. Well, if you're not working, now you're not getting paid.
We don't know, like,
yeah,
you know, like currently now you could say that? Okay.
Yeah, I can. Okay. I'm not going to name the business.
Okay.
But basically what you're saying is, like, you break a bone, if you're not, like, the most mainstream person out there, you're not insured by your sponsors.
If you're not marketable anymore, you're out. Yeah. If you're not marketable anymore, you're out.
Yeah.
So my question is.
Turn the camera a little. Let's see Ricky's face. Sorry.
Okay. So these guys, a lot of these guys that do this sport, right?
Okay.
They have injuries, and a lot of them have severe injuries where they have to deal with them when they're 36 years old, like seizures and things like that.
Absolutely.
That we're dealing with.
Johnny's arm has like no bone in it. I remember that.
No, it doesn't. And he's in chronic pain from it, and he has seizures too. And we might be dealing with CTE and things like that.
Dude, so my mom thinks I have early onset Alzheimer's from the amount of times I've hit my head. You know what I mean? So like, I feel you. But Johnny's injuries extend way worse than mine do. So keep going.
I told her that the other day because she's on the computer so much because she's in quarantine. So I told her, my research from the thing is, with these guys, they get injured, right?
Yeah.
They get older and they have problems.
Of course.
Or even if they're in the sport, they get injured.
You know, Travis.
And
football, basketball, soccer.
I mean, about it in a minute. Next level. But there's no union. There's nothing to protect these guys. All they do is they put themselves out there because these sponsors want them to put themselves out there. They want, you know, these promoters want them. No, thank you. They want them to make money for them.
This is, and from what I'm aware of, this is not just the freestyle motocross industry. This is pretty much every professional industry, like extreme sports.
The movie industry has a union, right? But the freestyle motocross doesn't have a union.
It was so young. It was so young.
But they don't even today. So who's going to help? And we have friends that we hold very dear to our heart that are still doing this, that are very, very successful. However, they get injured, their sponsors drop them. There's nobody taking care of them 10 years down the road.
It doesn't have to do with freestyle motocross. It has to do with any kind of professional sport. They could sit there and
not any kind of professional sport. Okay. Well,
we're talking about extreme sports.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, you want to specify it to extreme sports, or are we going to keep it with all of them? I'm trying to.
Well, there are some sports.
Basically.
There are some sports that have a union that protects them a little bit.
Yeah,
it's not where it should be. Even the NFL, okay? Even
there's
NFL.
An out on everything.
But with freestyle motocross, nothing.
Okay.
Nothing.
Like
right?
That's the scariest part, because these guys like Johnny and Twitch and Ronnie and everybody else, like, dude, you guys, like, for me to snowboard, it's one thing. You're going off of a 40-foot kicker, less than 20 miles an hour.
And 75 feet and packed snow. It's crazy.
But the thing is, like, I'm wearing all these clothes, packed snow or not. You know what I mean? Like, I got layers and shit, and you slide. You're coming from 50, 60 feet high up in the air over an 80-foot gap, throwing yourself, whether it's not upside down or off your bike or flipping some way or grabbing in any which way, shape, or form. Everybody that's watching has seen somebody do something in the X Games on a dirt bike, so they know what we're talking about. But, like, you get hurt. Like, think about how many times you've practiced in order to land a trick the first time you landed a trick off of a ramp with Shane Tritlett. I mean, I assume the first time you went off a ramp.
It was on dirt in the middle of the hills.
That's what I'm saying. Like you had to have broken a bunch of bones before you got to where you are. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you had to put in the work and feel the pain of your thing before reaping in the benefits. And then once you reap in the benefits, in your industry, like Ricky's saying, there's no union, there's no medical insurance. So even if you finally hit it big and you break a fucking femur, now you're screwed.
Yes, exactly. And then these guys have to figure out what they're going to do. And a lot of them
dedicating their life to this sport.
Right.
There's
and
been
in a
foundations.
Lot of they have it. There are foundations, but there shouldn't be just foundations.
It took somebody to die to get a foundation.
They should be.
And I'm not going to say his name, but he was good for him.
They should be getting these guys insurance. Is what they really need. It's just.
I think that's the very first thing that any extreme sports athlete should have in their contract is a medical insurance clause in their contract. But it never will happen because it's it's such a profitable industry, and for that thing, I hate to equate it to sales. But for these big corporate companies that utilize extreme sport athletes, they call it throwing shit at a wall. Just throw shit at a wall, and whatever sticks, sticks, and whatever doesn't stick, get rid of it, onto the next one.
Right.
That's what the logic is. Because, like Johnny said, it's all about the younger generation. So, like, the next kid, they're always looking, all right, well, if this guy's broken, the next kid's 12 years old, and he's doing backflips.
Right, and I'll pay him less. And that drives it down. That drives it down. So there needs to be some kind of standard in the industry.
And right now,
like a union, this is how much you make for this trick, and it needs to stay there. Because when the younger kids
never does.
It's no fault.
It's low so bad right now.
It's no fault of these younger kids that want to come in because they're very talented. But the thing is that you've got people that have been doing this for years, and they're doing these tricks that are putting their life on the line, and then their pay gets driven down by these kids that want to come up, right? So there needs to be some kind of standard across the board. It's not that it will never be. We need to figure out how we're going to move this.
You want to, I can equate that or relate to that in a little bit of a sense. Like, you guys, I don't know if you met my Uncle Tommy when I lived out there, but you know about him a little bit. You know my uncle?
Yeah, you know about him.
Yeah.
So before he was in Hollywood Vampires with everything he's doing now with Johnny Depp and Alice Cooper and that, he was a film producer. What'd you say?
How's his dogs?
Yo, he has a lot of them. I don't know. But back in the day, he had like 6. Now I don't think he has any now.
How many years ago was that, Johnny? So many years ago. Oh my God. So embarrassing.
Well, I was worried about the dog.
Anywho, he was telling me, so like the way he got, this guy's been a phenomenal musician his whole life. Like my whole family on my mom's side, they're all musicians. It's crazy. But he was the only one who had the balls, or I guess the audacity or the strength within to pick up, move to the opposite side of the country and chase his dreams. And he would go and he would play shows like, just live gigs at bars and with different people. And finally one night somebody came up to him and was like, hey, I really like you. I've been seeing you play for the last like 6 weeks here. What do you think about doing a soundtrack for my movie that's coming out? So I don't know if you ever seen the movie Blast from the Past with Brendan Fraser, but my uncle's the person who wrote the song I See the Sun in that movie. And that's what blew him up. I See the Sun in Your Eyes is this track. Now he's meeting all these people, and he's becoming this epic ghost producer, per se, in Hollywood. Like, I don't want to give away his whole story because he's going to be on soon. But, dude, like, his biggest complaint to me, like, from what I understood was going back to what you guys are saying with the younger generation. Like, my uncle is one of the only people I know, like, especially with EDM now, my uncle plays every instrument. So when you hear a track come out of him, he does the drums, he does the guitar, he does the horns, he does the vocals, he does all of it. And then just to like get the networking out, he'll ship it to a friend for some kind of mastering so that their network can be in on the credits on it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But he'll get paid as a ghost producer. They'll give him $10,000 for a track that they'll make $30 million off of. Now, here's the thing. If he says, no, I want more, they turn around and say, well, I have this kid who'll do it for $8,000. So you can either take it for 10 grand or somebody younger than you will do the same shit for me for 2 grand less. So take it or leave it. Now, for him, he lives in Switzerland now, not Van Nuys anymore. So he'll do a track in Hollywood for 10 grand, pays $2,500 to fly back and forth. Then to put his other friends' names on it, gives them each 2 grand. He's left with like $1,600 to $2,200 for a track that just made $30 million. And that's that industry. That's the music industry. And he sits there and he's like, you know, I don't know how I've made such a living for so long in this industry because it's cutthroat. And it's like you said, when it comes to contracts with the music industry contracts, like, dude, like my uncle's discovered artist after artist after artist. And all of a sudden he had his own record label. And once they'd strike it big with the hit single, they'd go to the next big record label. And obviously you'd never hear from them ever again. And that was really disheartening for him because, like, dude, he discovered these people. He nurtured them. They were like his kids, and they left him like that.
Right.
So it's just the way of the world, I guess. But it sucks because, like, especially in your industry, if you break a bone, dude, and they drop you that fast onto the next thing that's better, like, what the fuck, dude?
If you're not bringing them money, they don't care.
Yeah.
But, you know, I've been so fortunate with the people that I've worked with sponsors, you know, even when they were paying me money, they also, you know, backed me up. After years, I disappeared.
He has a couple of sponsors that have literally taken care of him regardless. And I'm gonna say,
I don't know if you still talk to Mentum or not, but those guys, when I was out there, Mentum gave you a dirt bike when I was there, so you could get back.
They did. But the one company that has been there for Jonny, when we had asked them, because we were going to do our own like podcast sort of thing, and we had talked to some people about it, then they ended up doing it themselves. You know, they kind of took the idea.
Oh, really?
But it's all right.
Don't let it deter you, though. Do your own thing.
It is what it is. It's okay because it worked out the way it was supposed to.
Yeah.
But Skosh was one of those.
Absolutely.
Skosh has supported Jonny.
And they came up to me the first time.
Even when he was at his lowest, and then he came up, they have never asked questions.
So they've just been there through thick and thin.
Look it up.
They have never asked questions.
What's it called?
Skosh.
Skosh. They're in Walmart. They're everywhere now. They do all of the speaking.
How do you spell it?
SCOOSHE.
No, only one O, right?
No, 2 O's. Skosh.
Is there 2 O's?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me.
Yeah,
There's
Skosh.
2 O's.
Okay. So
Skosh.
SCOOCHE. Skosh.
SCOOSHE.
Yeah, and they've been really, really wonderful. We asked them if they had, you know, stuff because we were going to start our own podcast sort of deal. And they didn't even ask questions. They just sent stuff.
And it's the same guy that I met when I was a kid. Okay. And this company is so amazing because I also had. They came up to me over at Metzfest. Metzger's another treat. Oh, I love that guy.
Dude, you introduced me to him. Remember we went up to his tattoo shop that one time? It's crazy because now I watch all my friends, like my boy Shred Mamba. He fucking teaches Metzger's son how to snowboard, and Metzger's son can snowboard. He did a tattoo on your head. I forgot. It's funny though because Metzger's son snowboards better than I do.
Hold on. We got matching.
Let's go.
Mine doesn't fit because I got the T, but.
That's still cute. I like it. Dude, that's so wild. Dude, it's a small world, too, because, like I said, some of the guys I snowboard with now are his son's snowboard coaches. Like,
oh, I bet.
Yeah.
Myron.
Yeah. And shit. Dude, like, but it's crazy to watch because, like, his kids are young still, and, like, I watch his.
Well, there's Myri and there's Maxton.
Yeah, well, both of them backflip already. Both of them do it on bikes and on snowboards, and I'm sitting.
And then he has a daughter, too. The daughter, I can't remember her name, but I think she's But Myri's up in Big Bear.
Oh,
with Mike.
He's living my dream.
Huh?
I'm just eager to see how good this little guy right here is going to be on a dirt bike in a few years. Rikki, are you going to let him ride or no?
Huh?
Are you going to let him ride or no? Max?
I don't know if I have much of a choice in this matter.
I know it's genetics. I know you might not, but we'll see.
We'll see what happens.
All I know is I was always upset with my mom because she would never let me play football, and I could throw a football 85 fucking yards. So I was always so upset about it. But baseball was the next best thing.
Yeah, that gets out.
My mom said I couldn't ride dirt bikes either, but
Yeah, that's why you waited until you were 18.
always listen to your mom. That's the best advice I give to anybody that's watching right now.
I was just gonna ask you, what's the best? Literally, it's the next question on here. What's the best advice you could give our listeners? And that's the best advice I could give too, because a mother's intuition is literally never wrong. It's fucking crazy,
It's
right?
everything.
Max, Addie, listen to mommy all the time.
How many people are viewing right now?
Right now, I mean, like,
Joey
there's only 3 live right now, but
Joey?
throughout the whole course, we've had.
Joey, yeah, man. What are you doing, Joey?
That's our friend.
Joey, you man.
I miss Joey. I miss
Boy.
Oceanside.
I almost heard you saying, what's up?
Yeah. I miss Oceanside.
What I was saying, Chris, is like, what questions do they have that I could answer? You know, like as far, I don't know.
What's
Something.
Max?
He's starting to take a.
Yo, Joey, your man. Is that Joey Oside or no? Different Joey.
I think.
Joey your man and Joey Oside, same person, 2 different people.
Your mom's always right. That's right.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me? Yo, can you hear me?
Hey, so do you guys have a question for me? The people that are watching, or for Rikki?
Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me?
We cannot hear you.
You cannot hear me now.
Testing, one, no.
I'm trying to figure that out then. Hold on. Yo, no say.
Oh, you're kind of a little bit. You're far away. It sounds far away.
Can you hear me now? Nope. Nothing. I wonder if there's a mute button on here.
Come on, Max. If you want to sit, sit.
No. Da-na-na.
Alberta. Johnny, have you heard of Alberta?
Maxwell!
Alberta, Canada?
Oh.
It's Alberta, Canada, right? Alberta. Yeah. Alberta.
Is that by the border?
I don't think so. Hold on, let me look.
There's a few places I've been in Canada.
Like, what state?
We drove there.
Like, did you drive down the west coast or the east coast?
East.
East coast.
Hold on, I'm trying to
And then
figure
we went
this
up.
out. Can you guys not hear me? You guys still can't hear me?
And you know, we got stopped by the police or the border patrol,
When?
whatever, and I was awake. It was a nice tour bus, you know, like all of us. I think it was like 3 o'clock in the morning.
All right, let me take him, and then you tell the story.
Hey, can you guys still not hear me?
And we pull up to the border, and I'm telling you, these guys are, you know, they're all mounted up. They come walking in, and you know, I used to smoke weed back in the day, but I didn't smoke weed then. It was so random, you know, like. But I was sitting up there with the driver. I don't know whose weed it was, but they went through the entire bus. They searched every rider, every person, and you know, before we could go into Canada. And as you know, after we're done, you know, I just jumped up in the passenger seat and I'm looking down as the Mounties are like walking down the steps of the tour bus. There's a big old bag of weed. And I'm like, what the fuck?
My God.
So I don't even know. Hold on, Chris, I can't even hear a goddamn word you're saying.
I really don't. You still can't hear me?
Hey, Rick. It's not working. Do I touch on his face? Oh, he can hear me.
I can definitely hear you. Hold on, I'm gonna end it. I'll call you back.
Hold on, we gotta get plugged in, Rikki said. Hey, look, I look like I have Chris's chin.
Oh, you guys can all hear me? Okay, cool. Jackie, thanks for letting me know. So you guys can't hear me. Maybe you drop the volume down. Raise the volume on your phone.
What? Hold on, Chris. Okay, so Jackie said she could hear you, but I can't hear you. Hold on. Oh, I can hear you a little bit.
Raise the volume. Maybe you
It's already
accidentally
raised. It's to the roof.
Better? Still can't hear me? Whatever.
I don't know.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Can't hear you.
Shalom.
What?
I don't know. I'm just trying to say shit that you can hear, but everybody else can hear both of us. I don't know. Mark, thank you. Jackie, thank you. I'm just trying to see. Yo no say, Poppy.
Hold on, I can hear you through the phone. Hold on.
It's not whatever, Papa. You gotta figure it out. I don't know. I thought I hit the mute button on my end, but I guess not, man. You know, I guess I didn't do it. It's Papa. You gotta get it going.
Is it working?
You can hear me right now. Oh, man.
You're gonna have to speak up soon.
Yo, I'm gonna call you right back. Hold on. Oh. Sorry, guys. 2.5 hours of live has drained all of our phones. What up? Thanks for coming back, Jackie. You are always the best follower. You and Jess and Melanie. Yeah, 2.5 hours has drained both sides' phones. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully they hop back on. All right. I think we're back in action. Hopefully they'll be able to hear me. Jackie, you can hear me, right? Can you hear me now, Johnny? Perfect. I love you. Cool. Oh, man. Sorry that we had to cut that short with the questions and shit because I don't know what was going on. Malfunction.
Life's all the way.
I know you guys got kids, though. You guys have been talking to me for 2.5 hours so far, and I miss everything about both of you, so I'm definitely coming out to Austin to visit. Not going to lie, sometime soon, as soon as quarantine is over. Just so you know, being in Florida 2 months and having to cancel like 15 flights home, I have a lot of credits, so I'm coming.
What do you say? I couldn't hear it.
He's coming to Austin.
Oh, okay. Well, we wouldn't help you here.
I said, I know you guys have kids and stuff, so I've kept you for 2.5 hours listening to some more stories. So before you guys wrap it up, I want to see Max is like, you better come with me now. Rikki, I love you. Max, I'm sorry I stole Mom and Dad from you for so long. You can have them back. Before we part ways, guys, is there anything that you wanted to, say to the audience? Leave them with something about,
Hey, McNarls joined. What's up, dude?
Hey, what up, dog?
I don't know. If anybody has a question, I'll answer. That's basically all I have to say.
There's only 2 people in right now because we just cut off from the last live. So that being said, I don't know if anyone's going to have questions. McNarls, you got a question? Jackie, you got a question?
No, he's got all the answers. McNarls has all the answers, just like I do. Trust me. He knows what's up. He's been there.
In that case, I got to meet him because I don't have all the answers. No, I'm just kidding.
You got to follow him, dude. He's been around for a while.
Well, either way, dude, I love you so much. I love Rikki so much. Like, honestly, like, I wouldn't be who I am today without the 2 of you in my life. And it's crazy because, like, who would have thought just that one stupid moment where I was in high school and I approached you guys at a Journeys tour.
Such a trip, right?
Right. Yo, think about this, bro. Like, I literally landed at LAX with no place to live, called you up, was like, hey, bro, I know we haven't talked in like 3-4 years and it's kind of rude, but do you know where I can rent an apartment? And you were like, bro, our roommate just moved out. Like, we got an extra room. I'll come get you. And I'm like, what? You were like, yeah, but
trip, man.
you're like, we're in Vista though. I was like, what the fuck? Where's Vista? You're like,
yeah, I didn't know what Vista was either. I thought Vista was a piece of paper, dude. I didn't know.
Bro, I love you. like you guys gave me a life in the state of my dreams, close to the beach. I got to snowboard in mountains that I grew up watching on TV because of you. I got to work in the computer industry because of you guys. I got to work at, like, it sucks they closed down Gavina's Cabo Grill and Cantina, I heard. But dude, that rooftop bar in Oceanside you guys got me that job at, like,
Oh, that's right.
the brand new car you guys hooked me up with. You guys got me a fully loaded Kia Forte at, like.
Well, you worked your ass off with that brand new car. It wasn't just us.
Well, you guys.
No, you were with us and you got that car.
Yeah, but either way, I wouldn't have been able to afford a fully loaded without your guys' hookup. You know what I mean? Like, you guys opened up so many doors and so many opportunities for me as a person. I'm happy. Like, I want to have you back on this show once it starts gaining more traction, so you guys get way more exposure. But I truly appreciate you being my very first special guest, John.
Talk to people like you, McNarls, and all those guys, and have a cool conversation. Talk to McNarls and see if he wants to get on your show later or something like that. A different time. He's got stories.
If he would be about it, McNarls, if you're still watching, Johnny's making the introduction. I would love to have you on if you're as gnarly as he says you are. I mean, it says it right in your name. So this show is all about, just so you guys want to know, if you haven't seen it yet, Johnny's the first special guest that we've had on. My buddy Danny and I, we normally co-host it, but Danny is back in school now, so we've been splitting it back and forth between his network of people and my network. That's how we're going to do it moving forward. But the whole point of this show is to get our network of people and their networks from that, and to tell their life story. You know, like, what'd you say?
I said we're not looking for that.
No. I know you guys ain't. But what I'm saying is, I want people that I know to understand, like, the gnarliest shit that I've witnessed and been through with my friends and my network through you guys. So, like, for you, the stories that you and I have lived through together, insane. The stories that you've lived through without me in your life, that's what I want people to know. Like, I want people to have some insight and learn from trials and tribulations.
Oh, my mistake.
Like,
hey, what's up, Mern?
Sorry,
I just didn't let you on tonight.
Do your shout out, boy.
Dude, one of my favorite persons in the world, Mern and Mike.
What up, Mern? So for the audience, I mean, like I said, you've given pretty good advice since the get-go. Like, you know, pay attention, show up, persistency. Is there anything else you want to leave them with before we part ways outside? Because you've given them hell of relationship advice. Like, you and Rikki are top notch. So one last piece of advice for them before we part ways. And it could be funny, because I know you got
separate bank accounts, but don't tell my wife about that.
What did you say? Separate bank accounts, but don't tell your wife.
Just don't tell her about that. All right.
What'd she say?
Well, she threw something at me and I dodged it.
Oh,
it was a bad word.
I love you guys. I'll tell you what, 2.5 hours of talking on a show will drain me.
That was a long time, huh?
Well, thank you so much for coming on, Johnny. I'm going to hit you up afterwards real quick just to do a polish up. But, guys, thanks for watching. We had over 250 guests throughout.
If anybody has any questions I already don't know, you guys ask me or Rikki, and I'll answer the questions as far as anything.
Also, guys, if you want to follow them right now, I'm going to give you its at in the comment section. At Ebenal. At EBE Apparel. Apparel's got 2 R's, right? No, yes.
Hold on, let me tag you my name real quick. Hold on.
At the Chronicles of Money, aka Christopher Joseph
Does everybody
Attardi.
get to see this?
Tonight's special guest is
See what? Type
Jonny
it in.
Ebenal.
Hey, at badass.
Rikki Ebenal, my 2 favorite people in the world, outside of my brother and sister,
I
mother
love you.
and
You're
father.
so ruthless.
People I spend my everyday life with.
Chris, thank you so much for having us on, and thank you everybody that's watching. Oh, there's Kevin Wills. Holy shit, Kevin Wills. I grew up with that kid.
I love you, Johnny. I love you. Thank you, honestly, for being my very first special guest on Tell You What. And I can't wait
Absolutely,
to have you
man.
back down the road. All right, guys. Y'all, I'm going to hit you up in a little bit. I love you.
All right, man. Be safe in New York. All right.
Be safe in Texas, bro.
All right, man. We'll see you guys later. Late.
The 10's on 10 show premieres. Tell you what.